What's up, Maximus?
What's up? 2 weeks in a row.
I know. I really did enjoy you geeking out on the ONROAD cars last week. I enjoyed it. And you know, when you get into science mode, I usually just blank out and stare at the camera like this.
Yeah, I think it's the big pictures. You know, when I show the pictures, then you can then you can follow.
I'm a visual guy. I am a visual guy, and I need that visual aspect. So I greatly appreciate it. But you know what? We're going to geek out some more this week on some of the GT cars that are being raced down there in the land down under in Australia. But before we do that, we have to find that intro. We have to drop it and get cracking because this podcast is all about RC news, questions, and geeking out on RC.
Nitro is the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast. Get ready for some serious bench racing. But be warned, we speak our minds, express our thoughts, and sometimes things can get a little rowdy.
Hate, and he just was influenced by the hate coming from the left, the hate coming from the right.
And let's get back to more club racing and less of this grabbing racing.
It's hard not to be arrogant when you're always right. You know?
See what I mean? That's exactly why people call you arrogant, Max.
You may not agree with everything we say, but it's definitely worth a listen.
And our pick, can you stop whatever you're doing?
Join your host, Lefty the Great, with co-hosts and guests as they get together to chat RC.
Hey, after that race that I watched this morning, I have to talk about it.
Here we go. $100 right here, $100 throw. Oh no! I like this.
Yes, indeed. Nitro is the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Two podcasts this week. That's right. You're listening to the second podcast we're dropping this week. And joining me, it is actually episode number 259. So well done. We are here. We had a great episode with Hara. It ended up being almost 3.5 hours. So I just kind of put it up as his own podcast. I want to say thank you to Ben Panic and Zach Ryan for helping that all happen, and Atsushi Hara for his time. I think he really enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed it. So you guys can check that out. That's episode 268. That would have dropped before this one. Max is back. We're going to tackle your questions this week. We're going to geek out on some RC stuff. And yeah, it's good to have Max back. I really enjoyed our podcast last week, Max. So welcome back.
Thank you. It was good. I think like the issue we've had a few times is we have like this 2-3 week break normally, and then it ends up being like 2.5 hours. Now we had a month break between the two previous podcasts we make, so it went like 3 hours, 4 hours.
4 hours.
So yeah, so we have to like meet up consistently so it doesn't go too long.
We have issues. I'm convinced that we have issues. All right, but we're back this week. Right, like I said, check out episode 258 with Atsushi Hara, and it was a great chat as well. I really learned a lot about Hara. First time ever talking to him, you know, and he is, I call him, he is the Asian JQ, but he wins.
Yeah, well, he's
two-time world champion? Three?
Yeah. I don't know. At least one in on-road, one in 8-scale. Yeah.
Three-time podium finisher in a row at the 8-scale Wilds. So not bad for the and he's a Star Wars fan. You know, instant bromance right there. Instant bromance. All right. But right, this week we're all about questions. We're all about Lefty's travels. And we are going to geek out on some RC news. But before we do that, we have to say thank you. And I want to say thank you to all of the NNRC squad around the world. We cannot do this without you guys. Please, guys, remember to hit those notification buttons and all that good stuff on the YouTube channel. We definitely need that. We were trying to get to 5,000 subs by the end of this year. Don't think it's going to happen. We're just at 5,400 now. I'm sorry, 4,400. So we need 600 subs to get to 5,000. Let's get to 5,000 and I'm going to do a giveaway or something. Not sure what I'm going to give away, but I'll give away something.
Dude, we have 4,400. We'll easily get to 5,000 at the end of the year.
I mean, you are more confident than me. The YouTube, like the YouTube thing is like a trickle. 1 sub her, maybe 2 subs a week. It's difficult. It's difficult.
No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Everyone who watches this right now, pause it, click share it on your Facebook, and say go subscribe to this channel.
Exactly.
That's how we go. And go to your mom's computer and subscribe from there.
But also, what it is a lot of people still listen to this on the audio side, only audio. Yeah. So the numbers there are still very good, which I would like to say, congratulations, we finally reached 500,000 downloads, which I think is a little bit skewed because Apple iPods has us at way more than that. iTunes, Apple Podcasts have us at way more numbers than that just on Apple Podcasts. But on Podbean and whatever else, we hit 500,000 subs. Now that subs, views or listens. Now that may not sound like a lot compared to the bigger scope of YouTube and all that stuff. But what you have to understand is this isn't 25-second videos or 5-minute or 10-minute videos. These are 3 to 4 hour to 5 hour podcasts. I think we've done a podcast under an hour that consume a lot of time, and we are based on a very niche of a niche. So I'm super pumped about that because podcast numbers are a little bit different from YouTube numbers and viewing numbers like that. I always like to say it's like YouTube is watching the movie. Listening to a podcast is like reading a book, right? The book is always longer, more detailed. The movie is always a cut down version. So thank you to everybody for that support. If you are listening to us on a audio only platform, and I think we're pretty much on all the audio platforms out there, hit a review, hit the review button, I don't know if you can hit like buttons, but leave a review. It really helps us out, and we greatly appreciate that. So with that said, thank you to those guys, to all of you people around the world that have made that happen. We greatly appreciate that. We're coming up. We're going to have a Christmas show. I'll probably have a giveaway and all that stuff, all that type of stuff for that. And obviously, we cannot do this without you guys' support. Also, shout out to the patrons of the NNRC. You guys got early release of the Sushi Hara podcast. We really appreciate the members of the YouTube and the NNRC patrons. You guys help out by going the extra mile monetarily, financially. We greatly appreciate that. If you like what we do here at the podcast and you want to help us out a little bit more, get some extra content, get some early content, or just want to help out the podcast, you like what we're doing, there's links for our Patreon and YouTube membership in the written description of this podcast. Also, we can't do this without sponsors and the companies that advertise with us. We want to thank all these companies that have advertised with us in 2023. We are openly looking for any companies that want to be involved with the No Name RC podcast. If you love this platform, if you think what we're doing is great, and you think it's a great place to advertise your RC business or non-RC business, hit me up. We have tiers for everybody. But right now, I would like to say thank you to these companies. They are Invisible Speed, High Tech RC, Sun Pedal USA, Hot Race Tires, Sidewinder Fuel, Mayako, Beach RC, Techno RC, Clinic RC, Ignite Design RC, Stacked RC, Donington RC. Got my lead, so I'm gonna take some pictures of them shortly. RaceCraft USA, just saw that they got their Speedway beanies, I think they're called, back in stock. Shout out to the Florida RC Championships. We're gonna talk about that this week. WRC Danny Paz. Shout out to my boy Gene Strout Jr. and his RC building business. If you need a kit rebuilt or built, hit him up at SJ Racing. Also, shout out to RC Body Armor for all the love they share the podcast. And House of RC, RCGP, and shout out to our drivers, Dave Ronapunk, Jared Tebow, Robert Battier, Alexander HagBerg, and the main Matty G. Yeah, man. So thank you to all those companies. You can find links for these companies in the written description. Some have affiliate links. We got a little slice. Some have coupon codes. Some don't have any of that. But we do have links for all of them. Just go there. If you buy something, say, hey, I heard about this on the No Name RC podcast. If it has a coupon code, check it out. We have Linktree links, with all our links, and if you're listening to this on the Instagram. And don't forget, also go to our Instagram as well and our TikTok and follow us there. Alrighty, Max. We have a few shout outs. 1 second. This week, and we have some birthdays, but I want to say happy birthday to one special person it was actually Jason Rona's birthday this past week, and I saw him, and I didn't even know it was his birthday. And I was so busy. He's got to be in his 40s, I would say. Yeah,
he's definitely over 40, but I don't know how old is he. He's been in the game for long.
Very long.
I remember seeing those, videos of what was it, 2000 something, early 2000s Worlds, where, well, that was the Associated first race with Associated full drive, BJ4 was it? And I think he was like heavily involved then. So
I was watching. So while I was doing the horror podcast, we had videos up, and he was in one like where the 2000 touring car worlds, that horror one. Pavita was like, I don't know. Pavita was so pissed off. Pavita looks so different. He's like fat and got her, and Rona looks so young and standing next to him for Trinity Shard one. But happy birthday to him. He was at the Florida RC Championships. Happy birthday to Donnie's dad, Williams. I'm not sure if it's Donnie's dad's birthday. Oh, it is his birthday. He's nice, young, nice family that I've gotten to meet in the Southeast. Shout out to my boy, Derek Vandermeer. It's his birthday. It's young Marcus Carrap. He turned 16 this weekend, two-time European champion. Shout out and happy birthday to Gregory Bodyer. Ari Bacala, who's down there racing in, I believe, in the GT Worlds. James Poirier, happy birthday. Happy birthday to Carlos Arenando Jr. Happy birthday to the Killick's father, Abdullah. He's younger than me.
Yeah.
Wow. So I didn't know that. And happy birthday to my buddy down in Costa Rica, Andres Segrea Constiana. And I'll shout out to my boy YG, Ashton Abdul. He went 21, legal, finally. I'll see him at AMS. He's racing again. So happy birthday to those guys. Really happy to say happy birthday to them. And shout out to everybody that is racing. I want to say really quick, shout out to everybody at the Florida RC Championships. We are going to touch on that in a little bit. But I had an absolutely great time. We went to the Epic RC Complex. I've been there before under the previous owner. It was a gnarly track. I had fun. I want to say thank you to everybody that came up and showed me some love. I greatly appreciate it. And yeah, man, I had a ball. I'm looking forward to the next run. And I honestly can't do this without there's people's support. So I greatly appreciate that. And yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. We're gonna talk about the FRCC and their points and all that stuff and why I believe that a series is desperately needed. All right, Max. Otherwise, you've been back in school, so you was up quite late in school last night. Obviously, I've been traveling. We're gonna talk, like I said, we're gonna talk about that shortly. What have you been doing besides school?
Besides school, well, not much. Protesting a little, being politically active, but apart from that, not much. Been chilling with my girlfriend. We have had quite busy last few weeks. Yeah, well, being politically active and so on. There's quite a lot of stuff happening in the Finnish political thing, but yeah, probably not the best thing to get involved in a podcast.
Probably not. We're trying to keep the politics out of this podcast.
My headphones.
Your headphones discharged?
Let me reconnect.
All right. Now, while you reconnect, I will continue on with what I want to talk about. So, like I said, I've been traveling. I am back on Lefty Travels next week, Monday. I fly out to Fort Lauderdale to go to the Masters of Dart, which will be held at Beach RC. I'm looking forward to that. I believe Danny Paz and I will drive up in the afternoon on Tuesday. So I will see everybody at Masters of Dart. I'm looking forward to this. My first really big 8-10 scale race that I went to last year. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I want to thank Brent and everybody for getting me up there. And Pink Pinions for life as well. So I will see everybody there. And I look forward to it. And then, of course, we have AMS coming up. A whole bunch of races that I should be attending as well. And if you guys didn't see it, I'll be attending the Beast of the East race at the World of RC facility in January. So they have a little waffle going on with that. So go check them out. Help them sell that out. That's going to go to the proceeds to get in myself and Danny up there. And we have another waffle coming up as well to help with my upcoming races coming up in November that we're going to do. Lance has some good stuff to waffle off. We're going to probably do that next week. But go up to the Beast of the East. I look forward to getting up there to the new facility up there in Lucama, I think, or Lucama. I think that's the name. It's up in the north of North Carolina. And we will be going to that in the first or second weekend of January. So looking forward to that. Thank you to everybody involved in there for getting Danny and I up there. All right, Max, do you wanted to say something before we go into our kind of new segment? We've been doing it for a while, but it's kind of a new segment that I kind of really think is cool. And
yeah, well, nothing special really. I don't know if I got attacked by some government listening system, because as soon as I started talking about that, my headphone got fucked and I couldn't.
Oh, they are watching. Big Brother is watching you. They are watching you. But so watch what you say, Max. Watch what you say.
I've been kind of just chilling, so yeah, nothing really to add. Yesterday I did some steel structure calculations.
Okay.
Triaxial stress.
I'm going to go into my I look like I'm paying attention mode.
Yeah. That type of stuff is like it's when you read it, it just fucking doesn't make sense. But when you understand it, it's like, okay, this kind of makes sense.
All right. Well,
it's like the type of stuff that's fucking insane.
No, that's what you go into school for. So good stuff. You'll learn. Yeah. You'll figure it out.
I figured it out already, but.
Well, that's why you are the professor of everything.
I know. Like the thing is, like in the intro, I said, what was it? It's hard not being arrogant when you're always right.
Yeah,
that's the kind of feeling I get. Like sometimes I'm like, hey, maybe I don't know this, and then I'm like, no, I actually do. So yeah.
Well, I'm like
try to be humble in a world like this, where you know everything. It's just such a burden. and for those who don't get my sarcasm, I'm obviously joking.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are going to go into this nice neat little segment. We've been doing it, but now I decided to turn it into an actual segment. And this is brought to you by Sidewinder Fuel. Morgan Fuel has been collaborating with the world's top drivers for over 40 years. This has enabled them to test our fuels in many of the most challenging situations and take the development of competition fuels to the next level. The result has been Sidewinder, the market's most powerful racing fuel. This fuel has been track tested and proven by national and world champions, including Ryan Cavallari, Ryan Mayfield, Greg Degani, Mark Mavitas, and their current top driver is the young Little Bump. And many more other drivers have used this over their time. I think Cody King even used it too. I'm not surprised to have. He was a world champion with it. These drivers appreciate that Sidewinder is blended perfectly for their high performance needs of competitive racing. Don't let victory slip through your fingers. Purchase Sidewinder today. You can find Sidewinder at if you can't find it, let me know, and I will get you in contact with the people to get you your Sidewinder. All right, Max. So we've been kind of doing this. Every couple of podcasts, we kind of want to present maybe some smaller RC content that's going on, and we've kind of I think we did Roach RC. I remember Roach was telling me that after we talked about his pod, which he's doing great stuff with his channel, it kind of blew up and he got like 600 subs. So that's great because that's what we want. He actually has more subs than me now. So this is a channel that I kind of come across and well done, by the way, to Cade and Roach, Cade, aka Roach, because he does some good work with his videos. But there's so many different genres of RC, and this is one that I'm starting to see. It's always been around, but I'm starting to see it becoming more popular. And it's RC rally, like actual rally, where you actually follow the cars around, and do it. So what I like about this is, one, the cars look real. Like, look at this guy. So Dario is his name. So this channel is called Dario's RC Garage. Right. Dario RC Garage. I'm not sure where this guy is from. He's from somewhere in Europe. But he goes around, he does these videos of going to these different rally competitions. As you can see, they got the track marked out with like some type of paint. You actually have to follow the race around. I like that these look scale. And I think this is a very cool channel because he's participating and he's videoing at the same time, and he does some good stuff. And yeah, I just wanted to shed some highlights on this. We will leave a link for this in the written description of the podcast. I love the scale look of it. It's probably some RC that I need to do because I can actually get exercise and do it at the same time. And I just think it's cool, right? I love the scale aspect of it. I love that they have like these different variants. It's not like off-road per se, but it's like rally racing, and you're a big fan of rally racing as well. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Check him out, Dario RC Garage on YouTube. Help that man get to 1,000 subs. There's his channel. Let's fast forward and see if we can see some of the actual racing or driving. There we go. Oh, and then there's an ad.
Well, it's for Streamlab. What is it called? StreamYard.
There we go. Streamrod, exactly what we're using. So here we are. He's zooming around. He goes a little wide and all that stuff. Just like rally, you make a mistake, you go wide. And I like, I really think it's pretty cool. I love the scale aspect of this.
Yeah, and the thing about this, like, the reason why I think it's getting bigger and bigger is because Tamiya is like actually like has put quite a bit of effort. Well, I don't know effort, but at least they have released quite a lot of cool stuff. So they have licensed Toyota WRC cars. They have licensed Subaru cars. They have the new chassis. Well, I don't know how new is it, but they keep updating it as far as I've seen. And I've seen a few of these in Finland, and it's actually a really nice. It's not that expensive. It's a solid platform that's easy to upgrade, and like the scale look of it is great. So yeah, I'm not that huge fan of this style of racing per se, but I mean, yeah, I'm all for having different types of RC for people to enjoy, because everyone can find their own way to enjoy it. Someone wants bashing, someone wants rallying, someone likes the scale stuff, someone likes crawling, and someone likes boats.
Yeah, somebody who is on this channel who's talking really loves boats.
Yeah.
Really loves it. I'm hoping to get to a boat race, but also he does do setup changes and he tries different things. So there isn't just driving around. There's some skill and technology that's involved in this. And look at that, he's like gravel. I like that. I think that's pretty cool. And you know what? This can be done anywhere. So that's the good thing about it, right?
I actually saw just now on Facebook. I wish I took the link, saved the link for it, but I saw a video on Facebook about, rallycross track. They wasn't following the car, so they was driving from a driver's stand, but they made the track like a full-scale rallycross track. So it wasn't like normal buggy track with jumps and so on. It was more of like a scale-looking track. And they drove with these Tamiya cars, and so that looked really cool, because when they filmed it like on the ground level, it actually looked very realistic. So
okay, well, that's another option, right? We can have that too, rallycross. I think that's cool. I love the scale aspect. We don't have to have 50,000 foot triples. We just need to have some small little rolling jumps, some jumps that send them, not too big. But I think this is really cool. I see. I think Associated even has some rally cars coming out. So I think we're going to see more people.
Already have.
Look at that. One. Look at that. That's a Lancia. That looks so awesome.
Yeah, they have already. They have also Tamiya have the Lancia on license. Let me look up that Associated one. I'm pretty sure they had some license as well.
All right, but the key thing here is that there's something for RC for everybody, right? And this guy here, he's very serious about his rally racing. He goes around wherever he goes. I think it was in some, can't remember which country he was in the one I was watching, but he goes, look at that car. It looks cool. It's relatable to people. People can look at it and say, that's a car that I can see on the road almost, right? And you can make it a scale. It's kind of why drifting appeals to me as well, is the scale look of it. So kudos to this guy. Don't forget, go to Dario RC Garage. Check him out. And give this man a like and a share, and anybody that's making RC content. So we're trying to highlight these smaller YouTube channels and show them some love as well as we go through, because a lot of these people have showed us love as well. All right, Mac. Oh, did you get it? So here's the Associated one. Oh yeah, that looks really badass. I like that. Ooh, I think I want one. I can see this class growing pretty big, if it isn't big already. You're muted, by the way.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, but these action shots of this, like, it's pretty sweet.
I think Wally's doing all this stuff.
Yeah, I saw he had it, and it's a very simple, It's basically an RTR chassis with a few like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think I want one of these now. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I want everything. But like I said, I think Wally is actually doing all the video and all that stuff for a lot of this stuff now as part of his job at Associated. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
He's learning a lot. Shout out to Wally. All right, Max. I think we're going to go right into some. Should we do questions first? No, we'll do questions last, right? We'll geek out on that. Let's go to some Invisible Speed and high tech RC news. This part of the podcast is brought to you by Invisible Speed as well as high tech RC.
Stop scrolling. You want to be Lewis Hamilton? Learn something new with Invisible Speed. You can't do everything at 100% maximum speed. You have to be smooth. I mean, when you drive a real car, if you drive a real car, how do you just, when you get to a 90-degree corner to turn into the parking lot, do you go like that with the steering wheel? Do you like slam on the throttle and the brake? No. You probably turn the wheel smooth and get on the throttle smooth. Same thing with an RC car. If you want to learn more and make your speed visible, stop scrolling.
Stop scrolling, Hamilton. He says it so wrong. Do you want to be like Lewis Hamilton? Hamilton. But go to invisiblespeed.net. We have links for that in the written description. Some affiliate links. We got a little slice of that. We appreciate it. Shout out and thank you to Invisible Speed. If you want to make your speed visible, go check this out. And the new book is coming out at the end of the year. Also, I want to say thank you to High Tech RCD. Max is rocking his High Tech 50th anniversary. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. High Tech's getting really active too on their social media. I've been watching them a lot, and I got to have got to hang out with them in Las Vegas at the H2GP. But High Tech, they have a new servo drop in too. I saw that too. I forget the name. With a red heat sink, which looks pretty cool. I'm gonna have to cop me some of them. They look really cool. So High Tech, thank you for their support. Like I said, I've known about High Tech for many years. It was the servers I used back home, and I was racing in Bermuda. Never did I think that they would be a sponsor of the podcast, and have become really good friends with them. So I really enjoy my relationship with them. If you guys want to help out this podcast, help High Tech. If you buy some High Tech products, I just got my new RDX2 1000 charger, which I haven't done yet because I'm trying to do a little video. I was waiting for my leads from Donovan RC. Check them out. Go to High Tech, where to buy, hightech.com/where to buy. And wherever you buy them from, just say, hey, I heard about this on the No Name RC podcast. If you buy them, and you're going to you buy them and you're going to do a post on Facebook, tag us in it and let them know that you heard about this from the No Name RC podcast. And thank you, High Tech, for all their support. All right, Max. So I think we should we just go right onto, we don't have much silly season news, but hark, prior to coming, the funny thing is I was just talking to David before this happened, but then, have you got the link right there, Max?
Yeah, I'll get it up.
All right, so I was just talking to David this morning, and he was correcting me on a few things we said last week. He told me to tell you some things, Max, but I'll tell you in private. He's not mad. He was just like, you can tell Max this. So I was like, all right. And I was like, so when are you going to announce where you're going to go? And he gives me that. I'm like, you bastard. I know it's coming soon, but there we go. It's not an announcement, but world and European champion. I'm fully convinced that Ron Falk is not going to X-Ray now.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. Like,
no resemblance whatsoever.
This is the same pose he had on the Mayako release. And then, it's him. Okay, like, I mean, this is
not
quite
convinced.
obvious.
Not convinced.
And like, who else is a world and European champion?
David Angara.
It's not. Yeah, well, he's not leaving. And then Robert is another one. He's not leaving.
That doesn't look like Robert.
Yeah. So, like, who is the European champion and the world champion? There isn't many others. If you think, like, rolling back the years, like, David won 2016, then Battle in 2012. Then before him, I don't think there was a European champion.
Guillaume Ray.
Maybe Guillaume Ray is joining X-Ray.
Is he a European champion?
Yeah. He's a European champion. Mm-hmm. So it could be it's either Guillaume Ray or David Ronnefolk, and it actually cannot be David Ongaro, because he's a European champion in 10 scales. Okay, it could be David
Exactly.
Ongaro.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, it could be, but okay. Let's just make the maybe a little bit of a risky statement that it is gonna be David. I mean, who knows? It could be anyone. Like there's at least 3 options. Which one of them I don't even know if he's even involved in RC anymore. Let's make the assumption it is David.
Mhm.
What's gonna happen to Matrix now? Like with the iron fist of Uriah Hoodie, you know what I'm saying? Like to all his team drives before, even Ty Tessman, the lifelong pro line, you know, and then he goes on and tries J Concepts at his second big race with X-Ray, you know. Then like all the Martin Bayer in 2014 World, Savoya running RB, yeah. X-Ray has a history with this, and now we have a clear example where
It could possibly be David Ronnefalk. Like,
yeah,
but I'm absolutely not convinced it's him, just because of the picture.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't look like him. It looks much more like David Ongaro, Guillaume Bray.
Yeah, insert my sarcasm right there. But we do bring up some good points. We talked about this on the podcast.
Yeah.
I think another thing we're gonna see some maybe at some point, because I did hear this was a problem with Marco, was the FX engines, having to run them as well. So
oh yeah, 100%. This was, I mean, this was in my opinion, well, not in my opinion, from what I heard, was the reason why Marco ultimately left.
That's what I heard as well. So, but I mean, seriously, I think the writing's on the wall that Ronnefalk is probably going to X-Ray. I think it's a good move for X-Ray as well. They needed, like we talked before, they need that 1/8 scale, 1/10 scale predominant guy. David also has some crossover to into America as well. I think it's going to be. I think it's kind of what he needs to regain his confidence as well and get back on the horse and get back up to speed of what he can do. And I told him this morning, I said, look, man, I look forward, even though he didn't confirm, I just said, look, I know what you can do. I know you're one of the fastest guys in the world, and you're still young. I just want to see you. I want to see you, Ongaro, Canas, and whoever else can get up there battling again. And I want to see you get back to where you can, where you're comfortable in racing again. With that said, though, this brings up the next speculation in this whole quagmire of silly season. If he's going to X-Ray, I am probably 99.5% sure that Gord and Testament are out in America.
Yeah, well, I mean, logically,
not just because of David, but because of, I would say, lack of results for Ty on the track. Even though he's won some races, but I would also say, maybe in their lack of building up the X-Ray team to what they expected it to be.
Yeah, I somewhat agree, but then again, like I don't think X-Ray, like, do they, like, if they get rid of Testman, like, who do they have really? Like, yeah, like what can they do in America? Because America, let's be honest, it's still the biggest market for RC, especially competitive RC, well, any type of RC really. So how do you go about it in America? Because before Testman, I mean, yeah, there was Josh Wheeler, there were, a few people here and there, but it never was a true force in America. Testman made it like somewhat. They had Mark Sousa, they had some good results here and there. They have these like somewhat good kids like the mechanic, and there was a few on the West Coast as well. But I mean, if there isn't Testman, there must be some kind of replacement for him. Who's going to take up the manager role, so on? What's going to happen with that?
Yeah, you have Kyle Turner and whatnot. I would, and then of course with obviously the Ronnefalk and Testman don't get along, and there's going to be a struggle there for who's the number one off-road driver right there. And,
well, I mean, what about Bruno and David? There's going to be a struggle for Europe as well, right?
Well, I think we know that Bruno is number one at X-Ray, period.
Yeah, but is David gonna just accept that out front?
Well, I think he's going to have to earn that role, right?
Yeah.
Even though he's a world champion and a European champion, he's going to have to go out there and earn that role, you know? Which I think he'll accept that challenge, right? I'll never forget at the RCGP Italy when David just had a shitty RCGP. Like, you know, he was just struggling. He wasn't good. He wasn't on pace. He was off pace. Hampus was way fast. Hampus was faster than him, right? Which is fine because Hampus is a good driver. I remember I was just like, ooh, he was washing his tires. And I say, hey, man, how you doing? You all right? He goes, he looks at me, he laughs, he smiles, he goes, 2015, I didn't win any races. I went out and won the Worlds in 2016. You know what? Like a month later, he won the Euros. So when it comes to that, I think he'll be all right. I look forward to seeing it. But I do think there will be some kerfuffleage in all of this at some point. And I think there's going to be, I won't be surprised if X-Ray puts the Lord on like Thor's hammer right off the bat. Hey, if there's things ain't working, you are running this. Yeah. And I think that he's gonna have to abide, and the Matrix is gonna have to understand that as well. So, but I'm pretty sure he's going to X-Ray. We don't have any more silly season news. I've got a whole bunch of rumors swirling around, like who will replace Tessman at X-Ray in America if they leave.
Mayfield, who is a good enough driver.
Could be, but they would need a manager too.
Yeah,
I bet you who would be a good manager for X-Ray. I'll tell you right now.
Adam Drake, and Ryan Mayfield join X-Ray.
Paul Ciccarello would be a great manager for X-Ray.
Wasn't he already a manager for them?
He was a manager for Serpent.
Oh yeah, but didn't he run X-Ray though?
He does run X-Ray now. So
yeah, Paul. I think Paul could do it, but I mean he would need a lot of support. Like he couldn't do it alone.
No, so we'll see. And they'll need a top driver in America. X-Ray will need a top driver in America. Could we see some one of these top drivers? What if Cavallari goes to X-Ray?
Yeah, I think like
that would actually be the best move. That would be the best move right there. Get rid of Tessman. Tessman and Gorda going. Bring in Cavallari. Put Paul Ciccarello as a manager. If I was X-Ray, that's what I would do.
Okay. In light of the recent results Cavallari has had with a few top fives and making the mains consistently this year with the WRC.
Don't forget his performance with 10 scale too.
Yeah, World Championships. I think it was 5th in two-wheel drive. I do think that Cavallari would make sense, but I don't think he made a 1-year deal with Schumacher. And
maybe Schumacher's when it comes to this, he's gonna, and don't forget, Schumacher and X-Ray are bitter enemies in 10 scale.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Like I don't think someone would have to buy out the deal or do something about it. I don't think
Schumacher's not going to pay him the money that he wants if he's going from WRC and WIRC, and the car is pointing to that. But for me, I think the best point would be to get him to X-Ray, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Cavallari would make sense, but I think X-Ray do need. Well, I mean, one tactic would be to just send David over, like go to the big races, like DNC. He's won that before. He's good at that race usually. Then again, does tires play into that? Definitely wasn't good last time out with the Matrix tires. So but yeah, X-Ray is in a little bit of a pickle right now.
Here's what I heard from most of the American X-Ray drivers. There's no support at these races for them. And when I mean support, there's no X-Ray tents. There's nothing like that. So X-Ray is kind of in that predicament where they need to get a manager that's going to go to all these races and do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So they will need that as well. So I don't think, David's going to need that too when he gets over there. He's going to need the support of having somebody over there and whatnot and doing all that stuff. Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting. But I would say that at this point, I would bet my house that Tessman and Gorda are out at the end of the year. That Ronnefalk is going to X-Ray. And now that I think about it, Cavallari sounds like the best option for them, 10 scale wise and 8 scale wise.
I mean, he would be the best driver to get if they wanted to get representation in the classes that matter in America. Because
Yeah.
Tessman, to be honest, I think Cavalieri has been much better in 10 scale than Tessman has been.
Yes.
They haven't been. Tessman has his good runs here and there in 8 scale, but to be honest, consistently, they've been kind of on the same level this year. Maybe Tessman a little bit better, but not significantly. Also, I think having to pay Gord and so on, like that's an
Cavalieri would be
extra cost.
cheaper.
Yeah, I think overall Cavalieri would be cheaper, and then having, you know, a team manager for somewhere else, I think overall they would save money. So yeah, Testament for Cav, in my opinion, would be a good move by X-Ray, but I think they still need more. They need like a bigger fish, you know.
I mean, Cav's a big fish.
He's a big fish, like on the paper, but I don't think like.
I bet you. I guarantee you. That's what I would do if I'm X-Ray. Hire Cav.
I would do it too, because I think Cavalieri is quite easy to get right now. If Schumacher isn't like, you can't like, no, this is staying this way, I think it's gonna be quite an easy move with X-Ray, because I don't think WRC is paying him that much. He definitely can't get a deal from many other places, unless he's going to something like AE, which is picking them up for just the nostalgia. So yeah, I'm quite confident that like Cavalieri doesn't really have many options right now, and that X-Ray, if they would approach him, like that would be a move.
Well, her brings up the next question: where does Gord and Ty go? Who can afford both of them? Or are we finally going to see the split?
I don't know. I really think it would have to be something more, you know, American, like something more classic. Yeah, so basically AE or TLR.
That's the only two companies that I think of when I think of this.
Because
I don't. HB?
No, I don't
but
think.
I heard they're not
First
paying.
of all, I don't think they have the money, because they aren't. From what I see, I don't think they're doing the good in sales. They are not having that good results, and they're already paying a little amounts to multiple drivers, young drivers. So, yeah, I don't see HB. I think, I don't see HB.
I don't know. Maybe Gord and Ty go to WIRC and champion that.
I mean, I don't know. WRC would be a good move for Testament, I think, because to be honest, like he hasn't made the X-Ray work, and like I don't think he's gonna go worse with WRC. You know, it's
Maybe Joseph has a ace up his sleeve and is gonna hire Gord and Ty to run Mayako.
That would be fucking hilarious. Like
you talked about this last week.
Tebow and Testament and Gord and Joseph. Like these, like, oh my God. Like, I think, like, operationally, that makes, like, somewhat sense. But just, you know, the worldview of these people is very different.
Oh my gosh. Joseph would be dead. Gord would kill him. Kill him. All right. Well, it's going to be interesting to see. Like I said, we don't know if Cavalieri is out yet, but we're assuming that he is. With what's going on at WIRC. I do see that Marco is going to Adrenaline Raceway. So he's going with Rob Isaac. So that shows me that I think Rob Isaac is taking over team managing or distribution of WIRC in America. And to be honest, I don't know. I just don't see Cavalieri continuing to be there, especially if I just don't see it. I could be wrong. But it's the force within me is telling me that the silly seven force.
How about Dylan Caldwell? Is he out? Is all of those guys like?
Yeah, out? I think he's out too. I think he's just like enjoying RC, painting cars, stuff like whatever. He doesn't really leave Texas much.
What about but isn't Adrenaline like some kind of they sell like WRC there?
No. They're just a track. No.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like that area had a lot of WRC presence, but apparently not.
No, I think the guy Rob is from that area, and they go to Adrenaline a lot. Like they have a lot of his races there. So
okay, that makes sense because every time like I see Adrenaline race where WRC whatever.
Right. That's what you saw with. That's where Marco's going. So he has like the US RC series that he has. He series, and they go to Adrenaline a lot, and there's tracks up in that area. So we shall see. All right. Next up is the Schumacher Audi. Speaking of 10 scale, let's bring up the Schumacher, Max. Let's get your opinion on this. Has Pecco been driving this car, or has he not been doing much 10 scale lately?
I don't think he has done like any 10 scale all summer. Oh, can you see that?
Let me bring it up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So basically, this was the car that was running at the Worlds. They've been using this probably the whole year. I think 3 main points. Well, the first point is that they have 3 cars. To be honest, not the biggest fan of this style of thing. Like, just have 1 car and then maybe sell some like conversion kits.
3 cars?
Yeah. So basically, they have the LD3M, which is the lay down box. So the motor quite far forwards. Then they have the LD3 D, which is like layback gearbox. I'm assuming like
for dirt.
Yeah, well, obviously for dirt, but I'm assuming like it has some like different. Yeah, it says different drive shafts, different rear hexes. Well, yellow wheels there. The carpet one had white wheels. Yeah, and different motor mount, stuff like that. So nothing like this update isn't really that crazy. They introduced a new body. They have a J-Concepts body as stock. I think they've just basically updated the old car with some new parts they've introduced over the year. I mean, I can't really find anything too crazy. Just very fine tuning and putting the option part, some of the option parts out of the box, and then introducing the mod carpet car, the dirt car, basically mod dirt car, and then on top of that, they also have the stock car, which is with the laydown transmission, carbon chassis, no slip. Yeah. I was a little bit like, oh, excited. Schumacher released a new car, but then I started to look into it, and it's, it says new, but most of this stuff you could have gotten, option parts before.
So it sounds like they're catering to the American market. They have a carpet track car, which is getting more popular. They have a dirt car where they still race on dirt. And then, of course, they have a stock car for lightweight and all that stuff. So I actually think it's smart.
I think you kind of put it nicely. I think this release is just to, let's say, rebranding, reorganizing of the two-wheel drive platform. It's not really a new platform, like specifically, but more so they've built kits that they can easily market to different customers in America and Europe and so on. I mean, Europe, nobody will probably need the dirt model.
Or stock.
Probably not even, or stock. Yeah, it's just the LD3M, and then the American market, they will have the different options. Yeah, mostly just, I think it's kind of a brand. How would you say, marketing model? How would you call it? Yeah, nothing much to geek out about. Maybe I missed something that I didn't see, but I couldn't find anything completely new.
No idea.
They're not that exciting, but new car.
Well, we're gonna geek out. We're gonna geek out on some ONROAD stuff in a bit. But I don't have any more RC news before I go on. It's funny. People are messaging me now with like pictures of Ronafog's face, like kind of photoshopped into that picture and all that stuff. Like,
It would have been
look.
hilarious. It would have been hilarious if all they did was turn down the brightness. So
Oh, that's what it looks like.
Yeah,
some
but
of these pictures.
I think they've smudged the face so you can't make it out. But it would be hilarious if you turned up the brightness and you could see one of Fox's face.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, we're gonna go into races this past weekend and Lefty's travels. That is brought to you by Techno RC.
Techno RC. Techno RC is a championship-winning manufacturer of high-performance 8-scale, 10-scale, nitro, and electric RC buggies and trucks. With a worldwide dealer network, USA and Europe-based headquarters, comprehensive warranty program, and global race support, Techno RC is excellence in RC. View the full lineup of Techno RC race-proven vehicles by visiting www.technorc.com.
And thank you to Techno RC for all their continued support. I see they just dropped the new short course truck, or it's ready for pre-order, and Max is laughing. What are you laughing at, Max?
You know, I just said they smudged his face. They fucking didn't. Okay? I went and edited the photo.
Yeah, someone sent me that photo.
Yeah, I edited the photo, and you can fucking see David's eyes here. Okay? Let me send this to my email.
All right. While you do that, let's talk about the racing this past weekend. First, we'll geek out on the Japanese. You was all excited about the Japanese 8-scale off-road championships. Let me bring that up on Red RC. You are excited because you actually, when we was talking to Hara, he was talking about how racing in Japan has died almost. He said maybe they get 20 to 30 people to a national event like this. But here we go. We have the national title, which happened in Koiki Kato is the new JMRCA All Japan champion for 1/8 scale nitro, racing at the RC Land 23 track in Matasuka City. Rain forecast for Sunday meant the race was brought forward and run on Saturday. In qualifying, it was business as usual for multiple defending champion Yosuke Sugiura.
That's the orange wheel guy.
Ew, look at that. There's his orange wheels. He looks older. I thought he was younger than that. Anyway.
No, that's kind of the thing that most of Japanese drivers are quite old. Like Nada kind of was the last young top driver they had.
This guy looks young.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to come into next. Like Sugiura, a lot of the on-road guys, Sabu and Matsugura is kind of similar generation, but then I think it's Matsusaki or something who made the world's main in touring. There's these few guys in pan cars that are fast, but all of these guys are like old. They're like over 30 easily. And this Koki Kato, he's like definitely the most promising young talent coming out of Japan in the last, I'd say, like 6-7 years. There's like Kaito Kodera who made the A-mains at EOS, and there's been a few like occasionally fast drivers, but this Koki Kato has been like doing very well. He's mostly a 10-scale driver, but also dabbling into 8-scale.
He was at the
I don't
Worlds,
know exactly how
believe.
old he was at the Worlds. He didn't do too well, but I mean, yeah, I think it's first time visiting America, so it's somewhat understandable. I don't know how old he is exactly, but he seems to be very motivated, taking it seriously. And yeah, I'm like, I even actually, the reason why I wanted to talk about this because I saw a Facebook post by Yuchi Kanai, and he was like, finally we have a new up and coming talent from Japan, and he was like straight up like praising Koki, and I think he even runs Mugen for 8-scale, so it's not like it was a Kyosho driver or whatever. So yeah, by the way, I think the whole top 3 is Mugen, so
yeah,
not a great look for
crazy.
Kyosho.
No, not at all. Mugen, the real Japanese brand now.
Yeah.
Good stuff. You seem to have a special place in your little Finnish heart for Japanese racing. So
No, it's kind of like the Finnish Japanese cultures are they like each other. I've always had quite a lot
they
of
like
interest
reindeer
in
balls.
Japan. I don't know. They fucking love the Moomins. That's their like jam. They always come to Finland and look at the Moomins. And yeah, when I was a kid, they always like every year, some school from Tokyo visited our school. So yeah, I think it's a Finnish Japanese connection. That's the thing.
And by the way, Moomins, I just found out the other day, is actually a Finnish cartoon.
Yes, it's it's a Finnish guy who made it, but he's Tove Jansson, so it's a purely Swedish name. And I think I don't know if it was. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he's mostly like Swedish. I don't know if he even talks Finnish, but he was living in Finland.
Okay.
So it's a very classic Finnish cartoon. You know, one of those like old ones, and they still come on the TV.
Okay. Cool. Moomins.
Just a little tangent of the Japanese scale racing.
All right. So in my travels this week, I traveled to Florida once again for the Florida RC Championships Round 6. In my opinion, this is the absolute best 8-scale series we have going right now in USA. Lance McDonald has done a great job here. We visited the Epic RC Complex up at Newport Richie. As you can see, the track was a lot of big jumps at this race. This is actually, that's Mike. We just tuned in. He actually podiumed too. Big jumps, this track has immense amounts of dirt there. It's dude, it was like Tetris parking everybody. Dude, so see this jump? The e-buggers will be able to jump that and jump right over her and land there. Good in the e-buggy class. So this series is extremely popular. It sold out within I think it sold out within 16 minutes. People like it. It has full coverage, as you can see. I was brought up there. I was doing commentary as well as doing interviews of winners and whatnot. This is my second Florida RC Championship that I've been to. I thoroughly enjoy it. The people show me a lot of love. This is Colombia's #1 USA driver, Juan Serna, right there, who I was, I kind of started that rivalry while I was there because it's a series. So the series is round 6. They're going into round 7, which is Callahan in November, and I'll be there. And it's actually very, very tight on points. So in Pro Nitro Buggy, I think, and Intermediate Nitro Buggy, and a couple of other classes, it's really tight. And by the way, I will say that this race, it's a cap race. You can only run 2 classes, right? And you get double A mains for electric, 8-minute A mains. You get 25 minutes for each pro main. And this is all done in one day, barring any weather. We was done by 9:45. We started at 8, was done at 9:45. And he gives away a lot of stuff throughout the day. He has VIP tents.
How many entries do they have?
I think he cut it down a little bit this race to like 190 something, or just under 200. It might have been just over 200 because it's really hard for parking there. It's like it's not that much space. So a lot of people come up in their campers and trailers. So it was like Tetris parking these vehicles there. And the only reason he didn't have a little bit more than 200 was because I think he capped it a little extra low because of that. And dude, they calciumed the crap out of this track. It was like concrete out there. And then we had a little bit of humidity and overcast on Saturday. So it was kind of, like a wet, moisty type of dirt in the morning. And it threw people for a loop because they were getting ready for that hard bite, hard. It was hard. Interesting track. It was mixed reviews on the track, but it was good. It made for some good racing, I think. We had some exciting racing. And I just wanted to say, like, I'm super, even though I've come into this series a little bit late, like I'm super pumped to be involved with it. I thank Lance and everybody for getting me involved in this. But what I like about it is that it's a series, right? And we always talk about having a series and all that good stuff on this podcast quite a lot, and how we want to make one and do one. But this is one of the reasons why, like, people really care about the points. Like, they are excited about the points. They look into the next race about the points. It's, it's all about the points for them. Here we have Pro Nitro Buggy. There we see it was Julian Olivensis. He won Oliveris, sorry. I want to say Olivensis like my wife. He actually won E-Buggy and Pro Nitro Buggy. We had Trent, I think he came second. Patrick Rossiter, Jada Lopez, who has lost a bunch of weight, and Brad Nicosia, I think I'm pronouncing his name wrong or right. So, but I wanted to look at the points going into this, because this is what makes it exciting for me, is the actual points going in. So, like, in the 40 plus points, like first and second are separated by 98 points, by 2 points, right?
Yeah.
In the Pro Nitro truck, it's a little bit more of a spread. Phil Lauer has 99, and Joshua Vicadamani, who had a bad weekend this weekend, he has 62. You have a novice class with 101 and 94. And then open e-truggy, because they just have an open e-truggy. That's close too. 101, 99. Wow, the points are very close through all of this. Yeah. Open e-buggy is the same. Pro Nitro Buggy. So Julian has 100, and Trent has 99 points. And then behind them, Patrick Ross has 98, and then Zach Rodriguez has 88. So going into the next round of this event, it's going to be tight. Like, people have to go to this race and do well. Like, even in Open Nitro Buggy, it's a race between Cam Goff and Miller Freud, and it looks like JP Sainz, right? And it's 101. Miller has a 95, and I think that's an error, but it says JP Sainz has 99, but he might have 99, but he might have one more throwaway. They do get one throwaway.
I think that's the race points.
Okay, that's what I'm looking at.
I can bring it up.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. I thought this was overall.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean,
it is.
It is.
Oh, no. I'm looking at the wrong point. So Cam Goffs has 615 and 604. Sorry, I do apologize. To everybody out there.
Yeah, but
there's a tie in Pro E-Buggy. Trent Walker and Trent and Julian are tied on 428. I do apologize for that, everybody. And then
even in Nitro, they're separated by 2 points. So, yeah, I think it's like it's not only the pro class. Like, in the Open Nitro Buggy, they're the top. Top 4 is separated by 9 points, and I mean, pretty much all classes are gonna be like within like 5 points for the top 2. Some classes have like someone taking off a little bit, but yeah, it's either way. It's like the series are a way to make people engage, and this is something that I think other states should really look into. Okay, Florida is a big state; they can definitely do it on their own, but California has JBRL and so on. But like North Carolina, South Carolina,
they have their series too.
Yeah,
but no series is doing what this is doing. This series has coverage, full coverage, like any big race out there. They, they do pictures as well. So there's pictures coming from this race. So that's the cool. Like, this is Lance has done a very good job. He's put a very good team together. The production is great. Obviously, Danny Paz is doing it. Is out there taking pictures. We got Patrick Rossiter helping out. Of course, we have me, my buddy Gene. He has a good team helping out. No other series has this. Plus, you get good runtime. You get good runtime. You get all day Friday to practice, and then you get a little bit of practice Saturday morning for people that come early, and then you race, and you're out of there at a decent, barring any weather, you're out of there at a decent time.
Yeah, I think like that's the main thing. You go in there knowing when you get out. You have a capped race, so you don't have to worry about like, oh, is it gonna last too long? Do I have to take an extra night at a hotel? Whatever. Like, this is the key things. Make the racing as smooth and like predictable for the racer when they go in, like, oh, I want to spend my weekend going to an RC race. And that's how people actually like to go there again, you know? Like, yeah, you can get people to go to PMB for like one time, and then a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm not going next year. But then like new people obviously get excited because such a big race, like word goes around. But like to build something on a smaller scale with a much smaller pool of drivers, you have to make it so that the people enjoy it. You can't just make it that, you know, there's a huge amount of entries, not a lot of track time, and then you still pay how amount for the entry fee. You know, that worked for a few big events like around the whole United States. But for local level, you have to listen to what the racers want. You have to be considerate of what makes it better. And yeah, in Finland, we have the same kind of approach as this land series. They have somewhat of a free format, but it's still very structured in a way where people know when they get in, when they get out. It's kind of a short day. It starts at 10, it ends at 6 p.m. So yeah, you have like 8-hour day. We had 80 entries the last time around. Everyone gets 3 qualifiers, 4 mains. If they get more entries, they might need to drop one of the mains away. Or I think they might have 2 qualifiers. But either way, they have a club race where they get 80 entries and they run it in 8 hours. Like, that's so much easier for people to come into. And like, the reason why I brought this example of Finland up is because other races are suffering to get even 40. Like the national series for 10 scale this year, they had around 15 per race for tool drive, and they didn't get over 10 at any of the four-wheel drive races. So basically they had like 5 or 6 at four-wheel drive. So they had like 20 entries for the Finnish national series for 10 scale. And this should be like the series for 10 scale. It used to have up to 100 entries. They used to run it as a 2-day event. But now the times have changed. You know, people want to be more comfortable. They don't have that much spare time. You know, they have to go to work, so on. So that's kind of the change we need to do to keep on top of it. And I think in Finland, it has clearly proved to work. I think in Florida, it clearly proves that it works. And now it's just about having this formula, tweaking it out, making it work for everyone, you know, each area. Like even JBRL, people are like moaning about it because it's so long, you get so little track time. Like instead of doing that, if they don't want to go to 2 days, you just do this. You cap it at a certain point. You know, you cap it to like 1 class per person or 2 classes per person or whatever it is. You know, those are the things you have to do to kind of prevent the sort of inflation of the race. Like JBRL probably 10 years ago, it was great. You know, there was a decent amount of people. It was a nice 1-day race, but now some of the races are like crazy big. You are there the whole day. Some of the races are like you barely get entries in the pro class. Like I think the last race had like just above 10 entries in the pro class. So yeah, I think
absolutely.
You need to have a solid plan. You need to do things with the purpose. And I think, yeah, the Florida RC Championships, like they're getting better like each race. Like
yeah, and then he's
freaking race.
So going into Callahan next month, like people are really concerned about the points, and that's the good thing about a series, right? It's not just based off of one race. That's why freaking hell, I really hope. It's got some things in the works right now. We might have a virtual series next year. We'll see. But this is why we need to have. This is why series are important. This is why I loved RCGP. What Lance is doing, I'm super proud to be a part of this with him, even though I've come in late. And he's going to start a 10 scale series next year. And like, I don't know if I told you this, but he's going to have the novice or rookie class where he's going to have like 10 RTR AE buggies, I think, or buggies where people can run. And that's their car for the season. So you enter that, you get a car. You don't get to keep it, you know, obviously. Yeah. And you get, everybody's coming in the same car for like the rookie 10 scale class. But right now, dude, Florida RC is booming right now. And I think we're getting up to, I remember the level of competition there was very high in Florida at one point, and I think we're getting back up to that high level, and people are enjoying it, man. And I am enjoying being a part of it. So I just wanted to say thank you. Got my rocking my Florida RC jersey. I think Justin Newby on these, who done my other jersey. Even got my Bermuda flag on it. I want to thank everybody for having me up there. It was awesome. It was a great time hanging out with Lance and Patrick, Gene, his wife, and of course Danny Paz, who's a genius. And I look forward to Callahan, man. I do. I've never been there. And Florida RC, man, it's booming. If you guys are in the neighborhood at one of these races and you're going to be in Florida, check it out. You won't be disappointed. And the coverage, like he's doing the coverage like you would get at any big race. Same thing. And people love it. People love it. They go get their pictures. That's a good thing. They go get their pictures of the car, the pictures of their TQ and all that type of stuff. And you're making memories for people. So well done to Lance McDonald and the Florida RC Championships and the Florida RC community. All right, Max, we're going to pay some bills and then we're going to come back. We're going to geek out on the 8-scale GT World Championships going on right now and some of the cars that are going that are being raced there. And this part of the podcast is brought to you by Clinic RC, the make of the RaceTech engines. You can go to clinicrc.com, get all your titanium bits that you need, as well as cool stuff like a diff drain. And they have the new droop gauges that they have, but they also have these RaceTech engines that can be customized to what you want. And actually talking to Tony is in charge of a track out there in Power Up now, is planning a big money race coming up here soon. So with that said, go to Clinic RC, let them know you heard about it on the No Name RC podcast. And thank you to Clinic, Tony Newland and his wife for all their support. This is their RaceTech engines commercial. Alrighty then. All right, so we have the GT Worlds going on in Australia, Sydney, Australia. The coverage is being brought to you by a combination of RC Racing TV and the Australian-based RC Race Media. And let's put up a little bit of the live show that they have going on there. It's not a big entry race, unfortunately, which I didn't expect because it's in Australia and it's a little bit difficult to get there. But nonetheless, an exciting race.
I think they have a little bit below 100 entries, but they have also
I think it's
electric.
50 in Nitro and less than that in e-buggy, e-truck, E version. But you still have some of the fastest races there, like Paulo Morgante is there. The guy Jeff Hammond. We're going to put this up on screen now while we watch this. The coverage is absolutely exceptional. It's really good. The RC Race, I think it's the RC Race Media, the Australian-based team, or the team that done the Asian Buggy Championships with Scotty. And then, of course, I believe RC Racing TV is doing all the virtual production and whatnot. I am in contact with one of the guys, Tony Firth, who's doing the interviews. So I think the production quality is good. I'm actually watching this at like 9, 10 o'clock my time, nights. So that's actually pretty cool. And Max, I think I want a GT now. This is the only class that's racing her. This in 5th scale. I do have a Mugen one up her, but after looking at these badass GT cars, I want some. I think I want one. So what do you think about this, Max?
I've been having this idea of building my own GT car, because to be honest, it's quite easy. It requires some few parts, and there's a few people in the Mayako Discord interested about this. So I hope I have a little bit of time to draw up some parts, and maybe someone can make us a GT prototype. But yeah, I think this class is really cool. I think it makes more sense than 10 scale Nitro on-road, because the 10 scale Nitro on-road is not really based on anything. You have touring car 10 scale. The on-road ones, they're not they're from a different planet. You already have the 8 scale. on road. But this is kind of like, I think this could be the sort of GT/touring car on-road class that we could need, or like, because it's much easier for companies to make these cars, at least currently. They are powered by, drive shafts, not they're not
Belts.
using like belt drives. So I think it's it has a lot of potential. It has less cost than a fifth scale. The drivability is not that different. Like, it's obviously it's faster and so on, but it's not that different. It runs on nitro. It doesn't run on gasoline. But yeah, I think it has a lot of potential, and it could capture, those who don't necessarily like 8 scale. What the fuck is that called?
GP.
Yeah, GP. Okay, that don't like the GP cars, but like running like 10 scale on road, nitro on road, because in Finland that class died away. They all run GP now. In the Euros this year, there was like 30 entries or something ridiculously low for 10 scale nitro, 200mm touring cars. So it's like that class, I feel, is struggling a lot. So moving those drivers into GT cars, then moving some of the fifth scale crowd into GT cars could be sort of a good balance, because let's be honest, fifth scale is cool and all, but it's really expensive. It's like, if you want to be competitive at it, it's getting ridiculously expensive. Whereas these cars, it's not, it might be a little bit more expensive than 8 scale off-road due to engine costs and tire costs. But I think overall it's still quite a reasonably priced way to run on-road. And the GP cars are crazy expensive. You have to, like, it's $1,000 a pop of those cars, and then you buy engines. You have to have so many of them, bodies, so on, so on. So I think I see a lot of potential in this class. We've talked about this same subject before, and I think we see potential in this class. And I think, having these worlds, live stream, it's not the first time, but every time we see this, it's like, yeah, it's pretty cool. This year, the GT Euros were by far got the most representation. There was a lot of top drivers. A lot of the guys who used to be, the normal guys running, on-road, nitro on-road classes, like Alessio Mazzeo, these guys were at the GT race. Not sure if the same guys even went to the 10 scale 200mm Euros. Like, I think Matteo was there, but a lot of drivers didn't go. So I think, yeah, I see this as a good, in between of fifth scale and foam cars.
Okay. This is also very popular in Latin America, as I've mentioned. But this race is going on. We are currently watching some of the highlights from RC Racing TV. If you aren't watching this on the YouTube channel, you can go find. I will leave a link in the written description of this for this. But we did have a little bit of drama at this race with Andrea Catanzani, who I actually think might be a European champion or runner-up. Not sure. He was issued a 3-second penalty for track limits that has been rescinded. That meant that the Servo driver takes TQ for third round of the qualifying of the GT World Championship. This was a couple of days ago. And it says it took place after more than 2.5 hours after the Italian had 3 seconds added to his time because it was too late in the heat to serve a drive-through penalty for track limits. It was rescinded due to IFMAR rules only allowing track limits at pit entry and exit. Jeff Hammond was credited with the TQ of the round when the penalty was imposed, but now the top seed gets a P2 for the round as they originally crossed across the line. So we had a little bit of drama. Red RC has been doing a lot of the coverage as well. And then D'Angelo is I guess this is an Italian guy. Genius Racing, Alex D'Angelo is the top qualifier for the 8-scale World Championship in Sydney, Australia. The Italian's first World Championship. He secured pole position. This is the Italian's first World Championship. He secured pole position for Saturday's 1-hour final when he backed up his Q5 TQ with another in the final round at the John Grant International Raceway. Going into the decider as the only driver capable of topping the overnight TQ holder, Tony Gruber, he would produce another 24-lap run, and with his Q5 time, the quickest at the event, he took overall TQ on tiebreaker from Gruber. A rough day for Gruber. Is this Gruber right here? No.
I think so.
Yeah, it might be him. That we're looking at. He's
see.
like didn't he win 200? He won 200 sedan. He's a European champion in that, right? I think he won some European champion this year. I think it was this. Not this, but 200 millimeter. A rough day for Gruber. Qualifying didn't end any better for the Hong Nor driver as he suffered from a too lean of an engine and pulled in after 4 minutes. Adding to the Genius Team celebration, reigning European GT champion Bernard Alain Arnaldi, so he is the champion, made it a 1-for-2 with the GT 8.23 for the round, putting the French driver into the 4-driver Super Pro shootout. This was duly won by Gruber, who now locks his place into the main final, while the rest have to come through the semifinals. For reigning champion Bjorn Newman, a strong finish to day one of qualifying when he got a P3 and Q3 that didn't carry through to day two. As the result, the SX driver will start out his title defense from 6th in this half-hour semi-B. So that's going to be good. Reacting to securing the TQ for what is only the second running of the World Championships for GT. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Police D'Angelo said, I'm super happy. This is my first Worlds, and there's not more I could hope for. He continued, at the end of our strategy worked, and I'm happy to get this hot weather, get this hot weather, as I knew we would go fast. With today, the hottest day of the event, he has always been open about hotter conditions, suiting his car better. Q6 was an anxious 7 minutes, however. My engine was really rich, and I don't know why. So from the first lap, I was scared I was going to run out of fuel. I knew Jeff Hammond and Tony Gruber had problems, so I was able to manage the throttle, but it was close on the last lap. My teammate was behind me, and I must thank him for managing the pace to help me. Cool. So with the second place to the 5th place getting a shot at Super Bowl shortly after the qualifier, it was 5th place qualifier Arnaldi who went first. Next to go was Hammond, but unlike the inaugural Worlds in Miami in 2020, when he won the Super Bowl, the Super driver was not able to better the French driver's best lap. I really like Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I really like Super Bowl. With a 3-minute warm-up followed by a six time laps, of which the best counts, his first lap booked his direct spot into the final, but he wasn't done. He wasn't done. Continued for more laps until he parked his car in the corner marker. Afterwards, Gruber said, normally you can stop when you get a fast lap, but I wanted to show how fast our car was. With no run time to worry about, we changed to a different manifold and a really quick engine. And wow, this was not Genius Racing. Wow. All right. So this is going on. I didn't realize this was the second World Championship going on with this. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, they have had like World Championship type events. They had one in Thailand in, I think it was like 2016, 2018, maybe. But I think that was the World Cup. Kind of like how it's now with
e-buggy.
With e-buggy, yeah. So the 2020 ones in Florida were the first ones, which Jorn won, obviously, and now this is the second edition of the Worlds. So official IFMO Worlds. So yeah, it's kind of it's relatively new class in the official, Yeah,
it is. I think Paolo Morganti actually won the World Cup when it first came out. All right, so let's take this on. We're gonna, if you want to follow the action of this, you can follow it on RC Racing TV. It starts nighttime in the East Coast, like 6, 7 at night. So Max, we're gonna geek out on some of these cars going on here that we have been kind of watching.
Yeah.
So why don't you bring them up and we continue our geeking out. We're not going to geek out too much on this. We're trying to get done in the next 5 minutes because we have a lot of questions to answer as well. And we're trying to keep this podcast to 2 hours for everybody.
Yeah. So I'll start out with the Serpent because this is kind of like the, I don't have the chassis focus they haven't done from Jeff Hammond's car, but this is kind of like the I'd say this has been the major, proponent of GT cars or major manufacturer of GT cars in the beginning phases, and they have kind of kept the ball rolling. So they have lots of cool things like adjustable C hubs, with different caster. They have the 2-speed. They like a lot of brands I think have copied this. And then the other thing was their brakes, which a lot of use just from the 8-scale cars. They have kind of made a combination of the GP cars and the 8-scale off-road. And in general, they kind of have kept to the classic way of it's an 8-scale buggy, but then you just modify it to make it a GT car. But they've added some little, bits and pieces here and there that make it much more, have a lot of more performance basically. So I think Serpent is kind of like the standard GT style car, and a lot of S-Works and X-Ray, let's say, and all of these kind of go along with that. But now I want to show the Genius car, which is the TQ. The TQ runner runs this car. So
this car is beautiful. This car and the Capricorn, oof, beautiful.
Yeah. So Genius and the Capricorn cars are kind of like the new age of GT cars. Aluminum, very similar to like 5th scale looking, or even 10 scale on-road, like kind of combinations of those two. So as you can see here, there isn't a lot of like plastic parts anymore. A lot of it is machine. Obviously, some of that is down to the fact that Genius, for example, is quite a small company in Italy, and it's it's not easy to make plastic parts because you have to sell so many kits to make it worthwhile. But yeah, the car, it's like very beautiful machined. A lot of like how would I say?
It looks very 5th scale esque.
Yeah, this one is very 5th scale esque. The Capricorn is more sort of 10 scale type, so it's actually interesting. But these two separate out of the other manufacturers that we're gonna go into soon. But yeah, the Genius is the one that also Davide Ongaro drove in Italy.
To say that. I was about to say they make a 5th scale too, I believe. So that would be
yeah.
I believe they do. So that would be why this
that's-
is very 5th scale esque.
Yeah, I do believe they have kind of started with
beautiful.
5th scale and then moved into GT. But yeah, you look at this, it's just
That's beautiful. That's
very,
sexy.
very cool. And
Look at
even
the
here
hub.
you can
Look at
see,
the front hub.
yeah,
Adjustable
it's
caster.
crazy. You can adjust a lot of things. Yeah, this is
Beautiful.
like one of the most beautiful cars, but I would say the Capricorn is even cooler. So let me bring that up next. So this would be the Capricorn, and as you can see, it has carbon fiber arms, very sort of on-road style chassis, top arms, kind of like 10 scale, where you have these collets that attach to the carbon fiber. Yeah,
This
really
is
cool.
sexy too.
Yeah. And even here, you see this piece here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but on the upper arm, there's this little piece next to the tire. The idea of this is to have the body a little bit loose on the body posts. So when the car goes down, you can have it like very close to the ground to begin with. But when the chassis goes down, these posts will actually hold it up. So
it doesn't scrape.
So basically you have the body as low as possible, and then when the car heaves or the chassis bottoms out, it's allowed a little bit of give from the body posts, and these stop it to hold it sort of the level of the tires. So that's one thing that a lot of people have been running in 10 scale on road, and I think almost all cars have it now. But yeah, I haven't seen this in other GT cars, so it's kind of cool to see it on Capricorn. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's really, really cool.
Is that go back? Is that diff just open, or did they take the diff case out? They had to take the diff case off.
No, that's how they are. So the GT cars, almost like Serpent, Genius, and at least the Capricorn, they run open diff cases.
Really?
So so I guess there's like such a small amount of debris that they can do that. It's quite surprising, but yeah, it's quite a standard on the new age GT cars.
Let's see the rest of these pictures. Let's go to see some more. Wow, this is a work of art too, man.
Yeah, this is really, really cool. Like even the rear hubs you can see here. It's very, very sweet looking. Yeah, this is kind of like those people who always ask the questions about 8-scale buggies. Like, why don't they have this sort of innovation that the off-road, like in the off-road side that touring cars have in the touring side? Well, I mean, now you can see it in the GT cars because they take a lot of the ideas from there.
All right, what's next you're going to look at? The S-Works
Next, we have the S-Works, and this is kind of the OG type of GT car. So
more traditional.
They have the GT chassis, but they have exactly the same arms as the buggy. They actually have open diff cases too. I didn't know they had this because I think actually now that I think about it, X-Ray went to open diff cases too. So this is quite a recent one because I think the previous S-Works model had them still the same buggy diff cases. But yeah, they have buggy arms. They pretty much the same radio tray, just no side cuts, same center diff mount, same. I think it's the same arm holder, not the same steering actually because they don't seem to have a servo saver here. Yeah, the S-Works have machined bulkheads, and that way they can have the diff case open instead of having the plastic ones from the buggy. So this is sort of the traditional way you would see a GT car look like. Buggy arms, buggy hubs. The platform is buggy, but they have slightly made it lighter, a little bit, more aluminum parts, not so prone to breaking. Even the rear body post looks similar to the buggy rear wing mount. So that was S-Works. Now we're going to go into X-Ray. They have been quite big on updating their car every year, as they most of the time do. So they have also a lot of this stuff. I think this is a prototype chassis though, but yeah, they have the X-Ray is similar to S-Works and Serpent, where they have the buggy arms. And as you can see, it's pretty much everything is not the same as buggy, but very close. I think this driver has a lot of their own modifications here as well, or maybe it's an X-Ray prototype, who knows. Yeah, aluminum bulkheads, a lot of carbon fiber, similar like shock mounting with the buggy arms as the S-Works and the Serpent. It's quite similar to the Serpent and the S-Works. I'd say a lot of these brands kind of follow what Serpent does. So yeah, not as cool as the Genius car, but I want to go next into a few brands that people probably are not that aware of. Next one up is the Hongnor. This is Tony Gruber's car. He's running a Hongnor, which I believe is basically like the IGT8. It's same.
I believe so.
Same, but different, basically. So it's not the same brand, but it's, I think, the same factory or something. But this is I'd say a very unknown brand at the current moment. It used to be quite a big brand. I think Chad Bradley used to run it under Jamin.
Yes, but the IGT8
And
is actually very popular in the GT world.
yeah, so the IGT8 is popular, but the Hongnor name, that's kind of went away. And that kind of brings me to the fact that I think there are some opportunities for a lot of these brands to, bring their name back up by, GT cars, because they offer quite a lot of versatility still at this stage, because a lot of these are, at a very early stage of development. And even here, you can see a lot of people run their upper links way up here, but they have chosen with Hongnar to run it low to the arm, low to the, or high to the tire. And so it's not really even uniform how to run your shocks, how to run your links, and so on and so on. Yeah, I mean, most of these final cars are very similar. The last one is a Raptor. I have not heard of this brand myself ever, so I was surprised to see it, and I just want to quickly go through it. This is kind of a similar car to the Genius. I don't know, like, where they're based, if it is the same as the Genius. It doesn't look the same, but yeah, it's an interesting car. It kind of has the same fifth scale style. You see the e-buggy style chassis stiffener here, and then on the bottom you have these. I believe these are actually carbon fiber stiffeners. So a lot of very unique. You see this two carbon fiber stiffeners going around the drive shaft, center drive shaft. So a few cool things here as well that maybe could make their way into 8 scale. The chrono style radio tray with the lay down servos. I like this F1 style nose piece. And aluminum arms like the Genius, very narrow hinge pins. So this is one thing that a lot of the touring car, 10 scale touring car brands have done. They go into a very long arm. They attach it almost in the middle. Perhaps this is something that the GT cars will come into at some point, because of the fact that, you want to have as low transfer as possible due to the high grip and very fast speeds. So yeah, a lot of cars went into very quickly, so not that much of a deep dive. But I just thought, now that the Worlds are going on, it'd be really cool to look at this. Also, actually, now that we're talking about the cars, I want to bring up the engines. Like Guimard and Elasitune have really put a lot of work into GT cars. It has been a thing that OS has their GT engine. I think Nova actually has put some effort into GT too, but Guimard seems to be taking a big let's say a leap, big step. And I think I would say they are kind of the leading brand even in GT in terms of appearance. So I think this is a good way for them also to breach onto the off-road side when they get more how would you say, they get more known from the GT side, and then maybe get onto the off-road.
Okay.
Yeah.
So really cool stuff. And before we go into our questions, I just want to bring this up, and then we're gonna move on to that. I was looking. Will Smith has been a GT fan for a long time, so he made a comment, and I do agree with him. And we look at these cars, we look at the Genius, we look at the Capricorn, we look at this Raptor. Beautiful specimens, right? Beautiful specimens, but kind of going away from what this class was all about, which was basically a buggy chassis converted to ONROAD, which we see with the S-Works, the X-Ray, the Hongnor, the X-Ray, the Hongnor, the S-Works, and the Serpent, right? And the X-Ray too.
Yeah.
So is this class developing into a higher, what are they going to do? Are they going to keep it to where it's like supposed to be like that, where you see the S-Wax, because what it is for these companies like S-Wax, like X-Ray, they can just reuse parts, right? And it makes it a lot easier, and it keeps the price down, it keeps it more affordable, it keeps it easier for everybody. But I think that it's going to that where you're gonna have to have a Capricorn type car, you're gonna have to have a Genius type car, and it's kind of a shame in a way. While I love the innovative stuff, I love it, I think it looks cool. It's a shame in a way because it's going away from what this class was supposed to be. Basic, simple, affordable, easy for everybody. So right now, I want a GT car, right? Right now, I want a freaking Genius or Capricorn. And they're expensive, right? But the S-Works looks good. And it looks great. Like, these cars look good. But I think is it going to come down to a point where you have to have a Genius type car or a Capricorn-esque type of car?
I just looked up the minimum weight for these cars. With empty tank, it's 3,500 grams. And to be honest, that's with off-road cars, it's 3,200. So obviously the body is a lot heavier. I'd say that's probably at least double to off-road bodies. So yeah, you get a little bit from that. The tires, I'd say it's a little bit lighter in the GT. So with that, I think the weight limit is actually going to keep it quite competitive for the classic GT style cars. The Genius, the Capricorn, they look really cool, but like looking at it structurally, there isn't much, benefits from that apart from stiffness and tunability. You can have tunable or active rear towing, stuff like that. But who says you couldn't do that in off-road? With like, the issue is the weight always. In off-road, the issue for this is if you want to do that, for example, for the rear, you have to put a lot of weight in. Well, maybe for the GT, that's not an issue, the weight, because the weight limit is already much higher. And also, the arms, be it plastic or carbon fiber, I don't really buy it that makes you fast, It's not like Yokomo could be fast with plastic arms. The issue wasn't that. I'm talking about 10 scale on-road right now. I think the main issue will be that can you convince the customers that the car is good if it doesn't have that all cool
Yes,
in it?
Because that looks cool. It looks cool, right?
Yeah.
It looks fast.
To be honest, right now, if you look at the results, Jeff Hammond with the Serpent running 8 scale arms, very 8 scale layout. They have a little bit different chassis, a little bit different center diff mount, slight adjustments here and there. But overall, it's their 8 scale buggy that's been modified. The Hongnor, that's like pretty much their 8 scale car, And those two guys are second, and I think Jeff Hammond was third. So yes, the Genius car is right now a TQ, but the Hongnor and the Serpent are right behind them. It's not that you have to have the Genius car or the Capricorn car to win, but I think it will be the marketing aspect will be the difficult one. But I believe that the geometry and setup in general of these cars is going to be the biggest thing that's going to be worked on, because there isn't much of that yet in play because it's such a young class. A lot of these guys like Jorn, I don't think he practices this class a lot. So he probably hasn't ironed out the perfect setup for his car. But if people get interested in the class, companies get more involved, that setup will be ironed out. And I believe that if a brand wants to stick to this 8 scale off-road type thing, I have no doubts that the 8 scale off-road buggy layout, I have no doubts that you can make it. You can't make it work. So I believe there will be brands who will stick to it. Some brands will switch over, because of looking cool. It's always, easier to like get some sales. But then again, it's a balance for a lot of these bigger companies like X-Ray. Do you really want to make arms for the GT car? Is it that big of a market that you want to like completely redesign the car? So, yeah. Also, the diff cases. I don't know if it's really necessary to go to aluminum bulkheads. Why can't you use the 8-scale? You know,
so you and your RC nerdiness at full aspect. What car? If you're getting into GT, what car are you buying right now?
If I'd go into GT, probably Serpent. Like if I can't pick my Aqua and make my own. Probably
out of those
Serpent.
cars, you pick a Serpent.
Probably, I think that would be the safest starting point because that's you kind of know what you're working with. Okay. I think if I wanted one just to drive and have fun with, I'd probably buy the Capricorn or the Genius, obviously because they look really cool. I think Genius, I like that quite a lot. Because
I'm buying a Genius.
Yeah, I think I really like the Chrono-esque, you know.
That's the Raptor
they have,
right?
Yeah, but I mean, Genius has it too. It's like all Italian companies kind of have that Chrono.
Interesting. It's gonna be. We're gonna have to follow the progress of this class. I want to race it. It's the only class racing. I do have a Mugen, but now I want to add a better car. Now we'll see what happens. All right, Max. Enough geeking out on GT. We have some questions from last week we have to get to. Those questions have been brought to you by Beach RC. We want to thank Beach RC for all their support. Remember, everybody, we have an affiliate link in the written description of this podcast. You guys can use it. It helps us out a lot. Thank you to Brent and everybody at Beach RC. I will see everybody there next week for Masters of the Dirt.
BeachRC.com, the racers' one-stop online hobby shop. Choose from all the popular brands and variety in stock with super fast shipping and great customer service. BeachRC.com still has the local hobby shop feel with all the benefits of the internet. BeachRC.com is the exclusive distributor for Ultimate Racing, JQ Racing, Pro Circuit Racing Tires, Nitro Lux Fuels, and Assault RC Performance products. So fill up your cart and check out at BeachRC.com today.
Alrighty, thank you to Beach RC, Brent, and everybody there at Beach RC. Happy birthday to Derek, he works there as well. Lucas, everybody, I will see you guys in a few days. I am looking forward to Masters of Dirt. Don't forget, we have an affiliate link. It's in the written description of this podcast. It helps us out if you use that. All right, Max. So we have some questions, from last week. We have a lot about the Everyone Hawk that we addressed in this podcast and last week's podcast, so we aren't going to ask them because we're beating a dead horse. But we'll start off first with some of our Discord questions. If you haven't joined the NNRC Discord, there's a link in the written description. Lots of discussions going on in there. Charlie Mack, the king of Bruggy. Is the Euro racing finally adapting more truggy? What can we do to prevent the Bruggy pandemic? So he is not a fan of the new Bruggy stuff. What?
I have one thing. The Euros is and will not ever adapt the truggy. Okay. I think we should have EU customs should check if it's an RC car and it says truggy somewhere, they cannot be shipped to the Europe, you know?
Charlie is going to be so upset.
Basically, what is it called? Truggy tax, you know? You take the truggy, you sell it back to the Americans, and then you can buy more buggies with that money, okay? Or they get the truggies back if they, send buggies.
I will say this, though, Max. I will say this. I know that it's only in a few countries in Europe that truggy is used, like England, Spain, Portugal. I do see e-truggy gaining popularity. When I saw Sartell racing it, I was like, all right, so France is adapting the e-truggy. I think e-truggy will take place because they ain't got to worry about a nitro engine and all that stuff. So I do think truggy will gain popularity in the USA, but it's not going to be nitro truggy. Sorry, in Europe. Sorry.
Yeah. I think e-truggy will gain popularity. I mean, we have a lot of e-truggies in Finland because they're armor cradens, you know? Mm-hmm. That's basically an e-truggy. So yeah, through the RTR market, there will be e-truggies. Nitro truggies, some countries will have a few people running them, but I don't think we'll ever have a truggy.
And they will be bruggies. They will run bruggy bodies. All right.
I can say to the bruggy point. Anyone who's like, oh no, I hate the bruggy body, you can't take it back anymore. There's no you waited too long. Roar waited too long. Every single manufacturer has a truggy now that comes out of the box with a bruggy body. X-Ray has it, Associated, TLR might not actually have it yet, but probably their next release will have. Pretty much every single truggy right now comes with a bruggy body as stock, or all of their drivers run it. Okay, so you're basically, if you were Roar and said, hey, no more bruggy bodies, that will mean that most of these companies will have to completely design a new truggy body or bring back their old one, maybe remake body posts, shock tower, stuff like that. So the companies will say, fuck that, they will be mad about it. So obviously Roar doesn't want to do that. And BRCA, something like this, if the manufacturers all don't offer it, they really can't uphold their rules, like that people have to, on their own time, make, kind of bodies or parts to their cars. So basically, it's over now. You can't really do anything about it. It's better in performance, the bruggy body, so companies don't want to have a handicap. Roar and these sort of federations, they would have to strongly collaborate with each other and make sort of force the manufacturers to collaborate with them. Like something like Leadfinger, I bet they're making a lot of money out of bruggy bodies right now. Probably even J Concept at the moment. So how do you, they have so much of these as stock, and then suddenly you make them illegal. And yet better yet, DNC, PMB, they don't fucking have rules, they just don't. So are you gonna really enforce this one very slim, silly rule that you can only run these type of bodies? No. So you would have one race a year, the Roar Nationals. In Europe, you would have the BRCA Truggy Nationals, that people would run the non-bruggy bodies, and everywhere else they would run the bruggy bodies. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Never. I almost had to watermelon seed you.
Yeah.
You went a little bit deep. All right. Next question is from Ricardo Patrice Costa in our Discord. Have Discord servers been a success for RC brands? I will say yes. If I had Discord when I was the JQ manager, it would have been so much easier. But with that also, yeah, I think so. Because it's private, it's more private than Facebook. And yeah, I think it's been
brands have Discord. I know my
I think WRC has one. I think a few brands. I think a lot of people are using it now, not just Mayako.
You know who started it? The Discord thing?
Scott Walker.
Well, he kind of, but it was actually I'm blanking on his name now. Rowan, yes. Rowan started it. He told you to do it. He was like, no. He then told Scott to do it. The Scott was like, maybe. And then everyone did it. And yeah, Rowan kind of, that's something Rowan can be quite proud of. He kind of made the whole RC community start using Discord.
He did. Rowan the Barbarian. What's up? I haven't spoke to Rowan for a minute. I need to message him.
Yeah.
All right.
He's studying some IT stuff.
Yeah. No, he's studying to be an airplane pilot. Not a pilot, an airplane mechanic. Of some sort. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He was studying some IT stuff.
No, he's doing I have to talk to him. I'll message him. But I do think they have been a benefit, and it makes things a lot easier. But at the same time, it also makes everybody a chief and not enough Indians too. So very similar to Facebook, but more private. And you can have good discussions in there. And it's very helpful for live meetings and stuff like that, in my opinion. All right, next question is from Chad Buckland. And we did touch on this, but I want to talk about it. Are the Matrix performance complaints overblown due to DR underachieving with them, or is Ongaro a superhero? He's talking in connection with Buggy Land this past weekend. We did talk about the tires this past weekend. I would also like to add that Davide has had a lot more time to practice on these tires, and he's also had more time driving on the not so good tires at a race all the time.
Yeah. The thing is, like, people might not really realize that when Ongaro was driving double downs everywhere and dominating races, there wasn't many others, even AK drivers who drove double downs. You know, the way he drives, he doesn't require that much from the tire. He requires drive and consistency from the tire. The way he drives. Okay. Yes. It's not like he can drive a shitty tire and make it good. Matrix are good at some conditions, but I think the way David drives, which is having the car quite soft, finding the edge of the grip, using the edge of the grip to his advantage, having these sort of on-road type lines, well, maybe a little bit more V-shape, but in general, driving the car and like doing what the car wants him to do. And that's where you use a lot of the tire. So your setup window in general is a little bit more narrow, and the tire obviously is part of that window. So I think that hurts him more than it would hurt Ongaro, who in general drives a car that's rear end is non-existent. Like it's basically he could drive a car that just doesn't have a rear end on the exits. Like it's just floating all the time. The front end on entry is dull as hell. So he effectively drives the car in a way where he comes into the corner. He doesn't have to worry about oversteering into the corner because the front end is so dull. But then mid corner, he catches the car just at the right moment and exits the corner. And all he needs is the car to go forward. And because of low toe in, the high kick up in the front, so no lift. Low kick up in the front, so no lift. Really stiff front end, so on, so on. He has that, like when he goes straight, it really goes straight, So that type of driving style doesn't suffer so much from the tires. So short answer, yes, Ongar is a superhuman. But yeah, I think you could see like this was one like issue David had with Mayako, and I think we can talk about it. It's that when he was on it, he was really on it. But when he wasn't quite on it, he was like he didn't TQ races. He didn't like have the feeling all of the time. And that is down to like the way he drives and the way especially the Mayako car is set up. And that's why when he was on it, he was like really on it. Like the Euros and the Worlds, like he caught up from 10 seconds or 15 seconds behind Ongaro. It's that when he's on it and he can use it to his advantage, it's super good. But when he's not in that window, like the driving style, the way the car was for him, it's not, he can't really use it. So when the tires are not allowing him to reach that window, yeah, he'll struggle.
Okay. All right. Next up is from Ricardo Costa as well. And he wants to know, how is the WIRC perception after Barufalo's performance at Buggyland? I think there's no change. Whatever.
Yeah, I think Barufalo
lots of work to do.
But I think Barufalo is the biggest thing WIRC could have, because we know he can drive almost anything the way he drives. Like he just keeps it pinned and tries to direct the car in some sort of direction that goes forwards in the track. And he does it really fucking good, Like he's ridiculously good at it. Like I don't know what they feed to the kids in Italy, but I think Bertone is the only one who has some sort of resemblance to Ronefog. But Barufalo and Ongaro, those two are just freaking insane. Like I don't know what they do, but they just do it well.
It's gonna take way more than one fourth place performance at Buggyland. And after the damage that was caused to the brand in America 2 weeks ago, it's gonna take a lot more than that. So a lot of work to do, but that's a good start. All right, next up, Corey Jordan wants to know, is Davide Ongaro the GOAT? We did touch on this last week. All I'm gonna say, he's on the way, but still lots of work to do. He's not. I knew that was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen. I was gonna tell you.
Exactly 2 hours. How the hell is it 2 hours away?
You need to get the extension cord. Davide Ongaro is definitely a GOAT. Is he the greatest of all time? No, not yet. We talked about this last week. Still has to win in America or an 8 scale, in my opinion. But he's definitely right now probably the greatest at 8 scale, I would say. When everything's like, especially in the 60-minute man, he is going to be awesome. But he's definitely on the way to being the greatest of all time. He also once asked, does a Davide win at Buggy Lane on Mixed Tires make David Ronafalk look bad for not racing the year out? So I don't think it was an option for Ronafalk to race the year out. Him and Mayako split prior to this race, so he had no ride to race at Buggy Lane. And that's how it goes. If you split from your boss, you're not going to go there and represent them and not get paid for it. So no, it doesn't make him look bad because he didn't have a car to race.
Yeah, I think it's sort of when David had made the decision that he would split from Mayako. I think for him, if I was him, what I would do is just focus on practicing for a while, getting the rhythm, understand the car, get a good grasp of where you're at. Then go to a race and do well or do bad. Who knows what it'll be? But like the way Barufalo did it is like that's kind of his style. He switched cars and next week he's at Buggyland.
Yeah, that's no problem. It's different. All right, and from #53Dom, who I believe it's not Miklos, but it's somebody over in the UK. He wants to know, why do 8 scale buggies sometimes run a front wing, but they are never used on a 4-wheel drive 10 scale?
They are used, but only in America. In Europe, 4-wheel drive buggies generally, because we run on high grip, obviously, like Carpet and Astro, the front end is like really, really aggressive. It's like the up and down movement is crazy. You need to have some sort of softness so you can't ride low kick up. So basically, having the front scoop there, that will make it just it introduces some form of aggressiveness into the car. So they don't run it in Europe, but in America they do run it because it's low grip. The side bite of the slick tires is more calm, so you can use the front end aggressively to your advantage. But in Europe, the front end it can't ever be like too calm on Carpet or Astro especially because it's bumpy too, so the front end really sticks into the ground.
Okay. All right. So thank you for the questions in our NNRC Discord. Next up is some Instagram questions. We only have one. Hyperfox 2.1. He's been missing for a while. He's like one of our, I don't know who he is, but he definitely he doesn't like you too much. He goes, is Max still relevant? Is Tater still known as a nuisance on the track? Is Rivkin still a hack? Why does 10 scale matter? Max, are you still relevant?
I don't know. Like my relevance is kind of it's kind of a thing of people to decide themselves, like, yeah, I don't really know. It depends on what thing. If you think my views on the world as the professor of everything, yeah, obviously I'm always relevant. But if you think my views on how to, like, me being a top racer, yeah, probably not relevant as a racer. Yeah, professor of everything, I'm the most relevant person in the world. RC racer, not really that relevant.
Okay.
RC geek nerd, whatever. I'd say I'm what the fuck is the word? Relevant. But that's something like it. I can't really say. I can't really comment on my RC expertise. It's some others to decide. But
okay,
professor of everything, I can say obviously I'm always relevant. Tater Sontag, from what I've heard, he's calmed down a lot, grown up. He seems like a decent kid. Well, a young adult almost. Rivkin, yes, still a hack. What was the last one? 10 scale relevant? Yeah, 10 scale is relevant. I think 2-wheel drive buggies are the biggest market, maybe not by money, but by driver amount in the world. 2-wheel drive buggy, I think it's the biggest.
Okay, sorry. All right, next questions come from, one second here, Maximus. Facebook. And the first question is, and I want you to be pretty fast on this.
Oh,
Gary
no.
Hobson, he wants to know what is the correct order to set up a car you've just got, i.e., set up ride height first, then camber, droop, toe, etc., or does it matter?
Okay, so here's the thing that like people need to understand. When you set your front camber, your toe in or out changes. When you set your toe in and out, your camber changes. So you have to iterate it. You set the toe in, toe out, then you change the camber. You set the toe in, toe out, then you change the camber, and then you eventually get close enough where they match. Obviously, like if you know what you're doing, you can like when you lengthen the steering links, you lengthen the upper link, because like that's how it works. Which order to do it depends how you do it. If you use the camber tools or setup station, you don't necessarily need to have the ride height precisely perfect. As long as it's within 2 millimeters of what you want, it's gonna be close enough for you, in my opinion. So I'd start out with eyeballing droop and camber to like it looks fine. Then you check your ride height, then you check your camber, and then you check your droop. Droop doesn't affect your camber, but it might affect slightly your ride height. Your ride height does affect your camber, but it doesn't affect your droop. But camber doesn't really affect droop nor ride height, except on the Mayako, where you have the front end adjustment is based on the C-hub, so it slightly affects it. But yeah.
Okay.
I do it ride height, eyeball everything, then ride height, then camber, then droop, and then ride height again.
All righty. David Martin asked Max to critique the S-Works versus Mugen Nitro buggies. I'm making a switch next year, and I'd love to hear his thoughts. You have a few. You don't have much time.
Okay. Mugen, probably the most comfortable car to drive around a track and be fast calmly. So you can just drive around the track, do your lines, and be fast. I'm talking pillowable cars here. X-Ray, Associated, S-Works, all of these are more aggressive. The rear end is not as supported. The front end sticks to the ground more. From C-Hub cars, obviously, I'm gonna say Mayako is the easiest to drive. I think that is a true statement. Kyosho probably easiest to push really hard. HB, I don't know. The current car, I would say, is probably a bit too aggressive. The previous car had quite a bit of steering, but a little bit difficult to drive on higher grip. So Mugen of pillowable cars, I'd say probably the most overall balanced, calm car. But maybe you won't get your best lap with the Mugen. S-Works, on the other hand, good steering, good grip out of corners. Mid corner, rear end is a little bit slippery. Over bumps, the S-Works, it's the suspension geometry, the way the rear end is done, and somewhat also the front end, like it's not good over bumps, I'd say. It has this way of like it never really truly calm. So that's where like Mugen beats S-Works, but on a flat track like the Euros this year, where you need to have good rotation, good acceleration out of the corners, and still good entry corner steering, S-Works, yeah, it works really, really well. When we go into a track with a little bit more unbalanced conditions, maybe bumps, maybe the grip level is not as consistent, the comfort you have from the Mugen, the way you can push it, it's gonna help you with that. Over those two, I would definitely go with the Mugen. because I bet most people will do better with the Mugen than they would do with an S-Works. But for Canas, I would go with an S-Works because I think the added mid-corner rotation and the fact that it has a little bit more drive out of corners will make him as fast as he has been all year. So yeah, if those are your two options, I'd go with Mugen. For most people, I think Mugen is a very solid option. If you want a fillable car with the positive offset rear hub, that type of car, Mugen is, in my opinion, the best option.
Okay, sweet.
Not the fastest, but overall the best.
So Sander Van Hout, I can't seem to get my X-Ray XB8 Nitro to match my XBE. The feeling that the electric is much better. I'd race on AstroTurf on Schumacher mini pins. I think it's just two different cars, dude.
Well, the main issue with this, it really depends what's your what's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
If it is the fact that the Nitro is more aggressive, then it's mostly that your e-buggy probably weighs more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your e-buggy is probably 100 grams, 150 grams heavier, depending on what kind of equipment you have on it. For example, if you have tech-in equipment, it's going to be closer to your buggy. But if you have hobby wing equipment, it's going to be like at least 100 grams more heavy than your buggy, at the very least. So that could be one thing that would affect the calmness of the car. Also, you're running on high grip, so the much lower center of gravity of the e-buggy, more 50-50 balance of the car. Those two things also make it more calm to drive, you feel more in control of the car. This is because when you have a little bit more rear bias, your car tends to oversteer a little bit when you hit a bump or an imbalance, and this in turn makes you overcorrect the car. You feel nervous about steering into stuff, and that's why you might feel less in control with your Nitro car. E-buggy also lower center of gravity, so grip rolling, all that kind of stuff, not as prominent. The main thing I usually feel with Nitro and electric is, because I drive on low grip, the Nitro cars float a bit more. This is because you're always running some form of idle in the car. When you lift off the throttle, it doesn't go to, braking. Yes, you can add coast, you can add, all kinds of initial, no drag brake, you can add coast values, so on and so on. But the electric car will always have some resistance in the drivetrain. The engine will always control somewhat how the tires roll. Whereas on the Nitro, when you lift the throttle, it will keep, the clutch doesn't let go immediately. It sticks onto the clutch for a tiny fraction of a second. And every time you lift the throttle, instead of the car settling down, it still keeps moving like you're still on throttle. If you brake, it's too much of a movement to do that the car will unsettle. So in Nitro, you never get the feeling that the car is fully settled on very low grip. Whereas e-buggy, you can go full speed, lift the throttle, and the car naturally a little bit sticks to the ground because of the slight resistance in the engine. So I think that's one thing you could be feeling as well, the settling of that. But there are multiple factors here, and really, if you don't, I don't know your specific issues, it could be any one of these.
Okay.
But the most obvious ones are weight and the weight, center of gravity.
Sweet. Brad Heikkinen, the top class in the world is two-wheel drive buggy. Absolutely not.
No,
it's probably second.
Yeah, you can just see how much time drivers spend on each class. Bruno Coelho races a lot more 8-scale off-road than he does 10-scale. Touring cars, obviously, his main. I bet Bruno practices 8-scale a lot more than 10-scale.
I think he just gets into the mood beforehand. But let's just look at World Championships. There's only been two back-to-back. There's only been two-time world champions in all of 8-scale world championships. How many multiple guys have won two-wheel drive buggy? Multiple guys.
Yeah,
Multiple guys have won it.
I think, that is definitely one thing that, there's more competition in 8 scale, but the 10 scale it's just not as a professional, like,
It's not the top
market
class in the
in
world. I'm
terms of
sorry
like
to
tickets.
say. I know a lot of
It's not.
pink pinion guys want to think it is, but it's not. It's second, in my opinion.
I think like Tool Drive Off-Road probably has the most amount of talent. If you look at the field that was at the Tool Drive Worlds, there's probably the most amount of driver talent there, more than in the 8 skill worlds. I would argue that would be correct, but performance, no, I think the absolute peak performance of RC you can see at 8 scale world championships.
Okay.
Because
Next
people work for that, like for years. People test their car. There's so much work that goes into it.
Yes. Jacob Burrett. Since Runafalk is gone from Mayako and Tebow is retiring, when will Mayako return to their former glory in the top 25? Yeah, you're not going to be able to brag about that next year, Max.
Yeah, that's actually bad. Like, because that was such a fucking great joke. Every time,
people so bad.
It was like crazy. Like, people went mad. People started fighting each other. People was yelling at each other in Italian. It was so crazy. Like, and the thing is, like, I've always been like, yeah, the list is cool and all, but like, don't take it too seriously. Before I didn't like, in the past, I was like, this list is bullshit. I was one of the big proponents of the top 25. Opponents of top 25. Now I know, I understand better what its purpose should be in the RC world and how people should react to it. But a lot of people still, they are kind of on that what I was in mode, where like when the list doesn't agree with you, then it's wrong. But I think, I won't go into that. I've explained this plenty of times before, but
okay,
I'm a little bit sad that I can't be able to do that. I wish there was some other thing like Ongaro's on top and then Fen goes in a dominant spree over the winter or something, and then I can be like, yeah, Europeans on top again, something like this. Maybe that could be a good joke for the next 6 months.
Absolutely. Ken Brisbane, how much of a difference does a high-end radio do over, let's say, a Futaba 3PV entry level? Does a higher-end radio make you feel more connected to your Nitro and e-buggy? Also, I think so. Just better.
It's like, should you buy what is it, M44 is the Sanwa like hobby model, or M17? You're gonna be fine with both. Trust me. You don't need M17 to do good.
But the M44 is pretty good, though.
Yeah, that's a really good radio. Like, there is a step, like the first entry level ones. I think there you can definitely feel it. You can definitely feel it's not connected. But I'd say rather buy a good servo than buy a good radio. Like, if you have a good radio and a shitty servo, it's gonna feel like shit, So, but if you have a good servo, I think something like the M44, that's gonna be like that level of a radio is you can. I mean, Tater Sontag won with the M12S the world, The M44, I think, even has better technology than that.
Yeah, but that's always been the radio of choice by a lot of pro guys as well. So
no, but it wasn't M17, it was M12. So it's the old model released, I think it's like almost 10 years ago now.
Yeah, but a lot of guys still love that radio. But I definitely think it makes a difference, especially you'll notice it as you get high. Like when you're starting out, you're fine. But I think, and also people have to understand that radios wear out. So
yeah, definitely. Like, I always, when I change to a new radio, it's weird, but I go faster. It's like, it doesn't feel the same, but I go faster. I don't know why, but every time I switch to a new radio, that's happened to me. So.
Okay. Next up, Paco Romero wants to know, why can't you use a Centex type clutch in off-road?
To be honest, I don't know, but I would imagine there would be some issues with jumps and so on. And if you because there's lots of hit to the nose, and it works. It goes like forwards, if I understand correctly. The clutch, is that what he's talking about? Like the 10 scale type clutch, where it's like a conical shape, or not 10 scale, like on-road type clutch. I think I would imagine it would have something to do with hitting jump faces, hard landings, and the clutch engaging forwards and then stalling the car. But I mean, I honestly I don't know the
all that flex
actual
too. All that flex when you jump and all that stuff. I think it would affect it. All right. Chris Jones, is Barry Baker back with the Phenom? No. And what about T. Jones' Nitro performance at the Peach State Classic? It was a good race for Jones. Let's see if he can carry on that momentum going into AMS if he's going. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I agree. I think we talked about it in the last.
Yeah, we did. John Wolf, is there any regulations which prohibit the use of twin-cylinder engines, even if performance wasn't great? The sound of a twin-cylinder engine revving up to 40,000 RPM would be epic. Well, I guess if that twin cylinder is equal to 3.5 cc, then I guess there's no problem, except that it would be more weight, more things to go wrong, I would see, and not as efficient.
I think the size goes so small for the piston that it would not actually work. And I saw this question. I thought to check the FR rulebook, but I totally forgot it. But I think if I'm gonna say that there is a rule for it to be single cylinder.
Mm-hmm.
At least it's like they have written in the rules somewhere the cylinder, which means that there would be only one.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm pretty sure there is some rule that would prevent twin cylinders.
Awesome. I'm just looking for one of the questions that we had her on YouTube, and I think that is it for that. Next up, our YouTube questions. So, as Chris CO930, 8-scale onwards is happening in Japan at the end of October. Which current 8-scale off-road racer could make the A final if given a competitive car? Should there be more crossover? So this is the 8-scale GT, which is different from the GP, which is different from the GT. This is like the F1 class.
Well, Bruno Coelho. I mean, obviously him, but someone who's specifically an 8-scale off-road driver.
Runafault.
Yeah, I'd say David. David probably because he's just like good in every class.
He's done this class before too. Pecco, maybe. Pecco's good at it.
Pecco probably with a little bit of practice. Yeah, probably not the main though at the Worlds, but I mean he would do pretty good. Yeah, probably no Americans to be honest. They like
maybe Cavallari. He's done some on-road crossover.
He's done some 10-scale on-road, but I think he's gotten pretty beaten by the Europeans every time they've been over. So, yeah, I mean, I gotta say, making the main at the GP Worlds, probably Ronafog would be my first pick. I think like someone like Ongaro would make it if he really practiced. Yeah, probably Ongaro if he really practiced. David, and yeah, I don't know.
So should there be more crossover? I would say yes, there should be, but I also will say that time is what is the big thing, right?
I mean, like what Coelho is doing right now, touring cars, 10-scale off-road, 8-scale off-road. I mean, he couldn't do anymore. Like it's to me, it's incredible that he's capable of doing all of those and doing at the level which he is doing it, you know? Like, yeah, going to the races alone doesn't take that much time, but preparing for them and being able to compete in that level, you know, if he did it without preparation, which I mean, probably sometimes he has to do, like, it's just, yeah, there aren't many who can do that. So I think the way they do in America, where it's 10-scale off-road, 8-scale off-road, that's kind of how much crossover you can competitively do. Especially if you run e-buggy, truggy, you know, e-truggy. Like, yeah. Like
guys need time off too, you know. They got families. They need time off.
Yeah.
All right, next question. I race at a track here in Kentucky quite often, and the dirt is like a dirt sand mix, and the whole track blows out really bad. I was wondering what would be some changes I could make to help my buggy be more forgiving in these ruts. I run a EB48 2.1. So I think that's the nitro buggy, e-buggy. Sorry,
Yeah, Techno e-buggy. Well, bigger holes in the pistons and less of them. So that's one way to do it. Smaller piston diameter, so like HB pistons are, for example, 15.8, well, 825, something like that. So HB pistons probably. I can't remember. It's 2.1. Did he said?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the old model?
Mm.
They used to run these like 2-hole pistons back in the day, but yeah, big holes and like something like 5 holes, 1.7, something like that, and then like thicker oils to make it calm. Raising the hub, like raising the axle up on the rear end, probably in the front end. For this would help you like not catch the rut sideways, and then you would like adjust the link angle accordingly. So the link angle stays the same, but the hub comes up. This way you can control the amount of like sideways hitting the bumps, like how much you get from that. Softer center differential. So you can keep the front and the rear the same, just go softer in the center. You could even go up in the rear, because by going softer in the center, you will put more drive into the front on power. So going to a sticker diff in the rear will, that will balance it out. You will still have drive in the rear. But the center diff gives you more forgiveness on the braking, on like when you're off power, even on power, it gives you more forgiveness. I think those are the standard things to do. So maybe softer springs could be good too, softer roll bars, longer wheelbase. Those could be good. But I think the 3 key things are higher axle height, from the geometry standpoint. Then from suspension, you want a slower suspension, so bigger holes but less amount of them. I think something like 5 1.6 in the front, 5 1.7 in the rear, HP pistons. That's something a lot of people run in, like when it's really bumpy. It's smaller diameter too, so more like blow by. Then from the differential side, softer center diff. Maybe you can go thicker in the rear to like counteract that a little bit. But yeah, softer center diff definitely. And you can go like crazy soft too. Like previously I've ran in like really bumpy conditions. I ran something like 20 and 5 and 10. So like a really weird sounding combo. But yeah.
Okay.
I think those are the 3 key things. But longer wheelbase is always helping you, and when you do longer wheelbase, you should go to a thinner roll bar. But these things will always kind of lose you a little bit feel of the car, but they will make the car more calm over the bumps.
Okay. One of the questions is between Mugen, AE, S-Works, Nitro Buggies, main pit. He asked about the pillow ball cars and which you would pick. You already answered that. Thank you, Mr. High Octane. We answered that already earlier on. And our last question is from George Takaris. I know I butchered your name, George, but I was actually on their podcast last night, the Northeast RC Racers podcast. So it was, thank you for having me on. He's also the guy who sent me this mug and my other RC offered. RC, I always get this name mixed up. Let me check it out. OnRoAD.com. That is his website. Go check him out. He asks, is KPI adjustable on pillowball cars like C-Hub changes to change keep, or is it like C-Hub changes to change KPR are done via the hub?
No. The kingpin inclination is the angle, of the axle relative to the attachment points of the lower arm and upper arm. For pillowball cars and for C-Hub cars, it's the angle of the kingpin. So it's in pillowball cars, if you have the standard Mugen S-Works AE style front hub, which is just one piece, that's your kingpin inclination. If you have something like the old X-Ray from like 2013, then you could adjust the kingpin, and they had that adjustments. But a standard, no. As current pillowball cars, you cannot adjust the kingpin inclination, KPI. But what you can do is by moving the upper or lower arms forward or backwards, you can adjust caster. On C-Hub cars, you have to always have a different. If you want to adjust KPI, you need to have a different knuckle, sometimes a different C-Hub if the angle goes too much. If you have like 1 or 2 degree changes, you might not need to change the C-Hub. You can just change the knuckle. But if you have, for example, the Mayako, the KPI 1 front end is essentially the same as any pillowball car out in the market. And I think people kind of get this wrong when they're like, oh, I want a pillowball car, Mayako is a C-Hub car. Well, I mean, you're getting the same thing, but you have more adjustability. You get the exact same geometry, and it works the exact same way with Mayako than you would get a pivotball car. Only difference is that you have the option to raise the hub or the knuckle. You have the option to shorten the link. You have the option to, have adjustments to the kingpin inclination. So, yeah, I think overall the design of the Mayako is just much more smart. The only downside to it, it's a little bit heavy compared to something like the old Chrono, but it's less heavy than, for example, a Mugen or an Associated or something. There's actually quite a drastic difference. I think it was around 10 grams per side. The Associated front end was heavier than the Mayako or J2. Okay. Can't remember which one I compared to. But so it could be lighter if you went to something like a Chrono, but the way the pillowball cars do it, it's actually the C-Hub car is even lighter. So yeah, I think like people always ask me which pillowball car should I buy, and I don't want to buy Mayako because it's C-Hub. Well, just buy KPI 1, don't change it, and you have a pivotball car. When you put the link to the longest position, it's exactly at the position. It crosses the line with the kingpin, which means that it would be exactly the same as a pivotball car. So yeah, okay. I think people kind of don't understand the mechanics behind that.
Awesome. Thank you guys for all the questions. Thank you, Max, for answering them. We will have you on in about 2 weeks' time to answer some more questions when I get back from Masters of RC. Hey, Max, I think that's it. We kind of kept it under 3 hours here. I appreciate your time. It was fun geeking out to you on RC with you. Everybody that sent, like I said, sent in the questions, thank you. Don't forget, everybody, to go check out some of these coupon codes and whatnot and affiliate links we have in our written description, especially for Beach RC, who's the sponsor of this bench racing Q&A. Max, I think that's it.
Yeah, man. That was good.
Yeah, thank you. I hope you guys enjoy episode 258 with Sushi Hara. Thank you to Ben Panic and Zach Ryan for all their help getting that done. Thank you to all the Florida RC racers for the warm welcome I had at the Florida RC Championships. I look forward to seeing all the 10 scale Pink Pinion Warriors at Beach RC next weekend. Gonna enjoy my time in Myrtle Beach. And yeah, man, enjoy the GT Worlds. This will probably come out as this comes out. This might come out after it's done or whatever. Depends. Like, they're in the future. They're in Australia. And next week, I'm going to try and do a podcast, maybe a live from Beach RC. We'll see how things go. But yeah, thank you. Episode 259 in the books. I want to thank everybody for their continued support. We cannot do it without you guys. So shout out to the NNRC squad around the world. Thank you to the patrons and YouTube members of this podcast. You help pay some bills around here and help make things better. If you guys wish to support the podcast a little bit financially, you can. with links in the written description. Max is bringing up something here. What are you bringing up? Hold on. It's him.
I mean, like, come on. They didn't even try.
How did you do that?
I just put up some brightness and exposure. Like, you can, like, come on, it's his hair, his eyes. Like, I thought they would have blurred it because it looked like it was blurred, but I tried it on my phone and yeah.
Someone else sent me this picture too, by the way. So good stuff. Well,
yeah,
I wish
send it to Mimo Buggy or something.
It
looks like some horror movie. The face, you know, when it's the black. I don't know what it is, but it's almost like I've seen a horror movie like this.
Well, we wish the Viking all the best at his new position at X-Ray. Thank you to, let me get back. Thank you to all the patrons and YouTube members of this podcast. If you wish to become a member or YouTube or patron, links for that are in the written description of this podcast. Remember, if you're an RC company, you like what we're doing, you think this is a great place to advertise your company going into 2024, please shoot me a message on Facebook, WhatsApp, email, Instagram, whatever. And let's get something worked out. But right now, we'd like to thank all of these companies for their support in 2023. They are Invisible Speed, High Tech RC, Sun Pedal USA, Sidewinder Fuel, Hot Race Tires, Mayako, Beach RC, Techno RC, Clinic RC, Ignite Design RC, Stacked RC, Donathan RC, RaceCraft USA, the Florida RC Championships, WRCE Danny Paz, We Do Media Right. Shout out to my boy Gene Strout Jr. with his business SJ Racing Building, doing custom builds and whatnot, and to RC Body Armor for all their support. Shout out to House of RC, RCGP, and of course our drivers, David Ronafalk, Jared Tebow, Robert Battier, and the Dr. Alexander Hagberg, and D-Main Matty G. Max, thank you for your time. Thank you for everything. Remember, everybody, links for all those companies are in the written description of this podcast with coupon codes, affiliate links, everything, all of that good stuff. Check it out. Max, I will see you in about a week, about 2 weeks, roughly.
Yeah. We'll geek out about GT
Sure, we have a
World.
lot to geek out. We have a lot to geek out on, as well as silly season. With that said, Nitro is the glory. E-Buggy pays the bills. If you ain't grinding and sliding, everybody have a great weekend of RC. Be a great RC ambassador. Left and Maxi are all. We're gonna have to raise someone to first get you a mouse, quiet a mouse, and something that you compete. We need to get you like where your camera plugs in, and we don't just see this.
Yeah, actually, the issue why I didn't have it because when I bought the camera, it was so new, the battery design, that they didn't have that yet. But now my dad found one, so I need to just fucking order it.
Henry,
I need to also
Max
get
a new camera charger thingy, please. Henry.
Yeah, he by the way listens to each one of these. Like
I know he does.
Like, yeah.
I know he does.
So,
it's good. I appreciate the support from everybody around the world, man. It means a lot. And to be honest, Max, we got a lot of love at the Florida races. People coming up, they love what we do. And that encourages me to keep on doing what we're doing and push the issues. And yeah, I love it. I'm going to be traveling again. And next year, it looks like it's going to be busy, busy, busy. So with that said, we are out. Nitro's glory. E-Buggy Base Bills. Lefty and Max. We are